Chapter 1378. The disciples who were responsible for guarding the safety of the butterfly castle were the best among the current third-generation disciples. Wang Songshan and butler Muanping were the current peak of the butterfly family. Tombstone and others were the backbone of the butterfly family. Wang Kejin was the best among the third-generation disciples. Although the disciples who were responsible for patrolling the butterfly castle were not as strong as Wang Kejin, they were also the best. That was why they were entrusted with heavy responsibilities, especially in terms of numbers. Wang Songshan heard that the troublemaker outside the door had actually knocked down 4 third-generation disciples with one move. This person's strength was indeed not simple. Although Wang Songshan, Muanping, Tombstone, and others could also do this, they were all the top assassins of the butterfly family. How could they be compared with a troublemaker? Why don't you report to Butler Mu? Wang Songshan frowned. Even if this troublemaker was quite strong, it was not to the point of alarming him. There had been such powerful troublemakers before, but Muanping had personally dealt with them. Family Master, Butler Mu accompanied Miss out early this morning. Miss seemed to want to buy something, so Butler Mu accompanied her personally. The disciple said respectfully. Wang Songshan nodded after listening. The butterfly castle was not in the city, but in a deep mountain. Wang Xiaoyan naturally had to go far if she wanted to buy something. She had not been back for a few years and was unfamiliar with the place. It was normal for Butler Mu to accompany her. What is your name? Wang Songshan asked. Disciple's name is WangKezhao. The disciple replied quickly. Okay, WangKezhao, tell me the specific situation in detail. Since Butler Mu had gone out, Wang Songshan had become the only person who had the final say in the butterfly castle. He had to personally ask about this matter. Yes, Family Master. WangKezhao nodded heavily and began to say, Disciple was patrolling outside the castle with several other disciples. At this time, a middle-aged woman came. As soon as she came up, she asked if Miss was engaged these few days. Disciple thought that she was a guest who came to attend the wedding and came to investigate in advance, so I didn't hide it and admitted it. Woman. Then. Wang Xiaoyan's engagement was not a secret in the European upper class, so Wang Songshan was not surprised and continued to ask. However, he was somewhat surprised that the visitor was a woman. Then, she asked again if Senior Fang Tian had come. But her tone was somewhat impolite. She didn't use senior, but directly called him by his name. WangKezhao didn't dare to conceal anything and even spoke of the details in detail. Oh. He knows old man Fang. Wang Songshan was slightly stunned and turned to look at Fang Tian. Could it be that Fang Tian's enemy came here to seek revenge? At this moment, Fang Tian's expression became somewhat inexplicable. Why did someone come to the butterfly family to look for me? Wasn't this a little too bizarre? Then how did you answer? Wang Songshan and Fang Tian looked at each other and saw that Fang Tian knew nothing about this matter. They had to continue to ask WangKezhao. Junior will naturally answer truthfully. Senior Fang Tian has already arrived at the butterfly castle, WangKezhao said. There is nothing wrong with your answer. Wang Songshan said, since she knows that my daughter is going to be engaged in these few days, then she must also know that my daughter is engaged to the King of Assassins' last disciple. It is normal for her to know that Fang Tian is here. Yes, but her next words were a little impolite. Speaking of this, WangKezhao glanced at Wang Songshan and Fang Tian nervously and didn't dare to continue speaking. What did she say? Just say it. Wang Songshan waved his hand and asked. She said, ask that Fang guy to come out and greet me. After speaking, WangKezhao's face was a little embarrassed. Disciple was just repeating what the woman said. I didn't mean to be disrespectful to Senior Fang, I know, it's okay. Fong Tian waved his hand, but his brows were locked together. When did I have an enemy? Why did she come to the butterfly castle to seek revenge? Wang Songshan also looked at Fong Tian in surprise at this moment. Listening to the woman's words, it seemed that she really had a grudge with Fong Tian. However, Wang Songshan also showed considerable doubts about the woman's arrival at the butterfly castle. So, when several of our disciples heard that this woman was here to make trouble, we thought that Senior Fong Tian was looking for trouble. However, since she was looking for Senior Fong, we didn't dare to neglect. We asked her to tell us her name so that we could help her report. Wang Kezhao said, who knew that the woman sneered and said that if Senior Fong came out, he would know who was looking for him. We listened to her and asked her to leave. Who knew that she would knock down 4 of our disciples as soon as she made a move? I told the other disciples to stop and quickly ran back to report. The other disciples should still be in a stalemate with that woman. Old man Fong, is there a woman in your enemy's family? Wang Songshan glanced at Fong Tian and asked. I have retired from the underworld for almost 10 years. How can I have any enemies? Fong Tian smiled bitterly. I really don't know who this woman is. Forget it. Since you don't know, then let's go out and meet her. Wang Songshan looked at Fong Tian's pondering look and knew that he couldn't figure out the identity of the person, so he said, no matter what this person is looking for you for, since she dares to behave atrociously in front of the butterfly castle, I will never let her go. She dares to ask for people in my butterfly castle. This is clearly not putting me in her eyes. If this spreads out, people will think that I am easy to bully. Let's talk about it after we figure out the situation. Fong Tian was not in a hurry to get back his face. Although he was scolded by name, Fong Tian was not angry. There was no hatred for no reason in this world. Since this person found him, he must have offended her. However, the only thing that made Fong Tian feel strange was that he had been living in seclusion for 10 years. How could he offend a middle-aged woman? Wang Songshan nodded and walked out of the room. The disciple named Wang Kezhao quickly led the way respectfully in front. Fong Tian glanced at Yang Ming and said, you go with us and take a look. If they start fighting, you have to take care of it for me. Okay. Yang Ming was actually very curious in his heart. What kind of enemy does Fong Tian have? Since this person knows Fong Tian and can name him, I'm afraid that she is either very strong or crazy and wants to die. However, judging from the fact that she could knock down 4 disciples in one move, the first possibility was still more likely. It showed that this woman still had a certain level of strength. Otherwise, it would be impossible to knock down 4 disciples. Yang Ming, Fong Tian, and Wang Songshan followed Wang Kezhao out of the butterfly castle and walked towards the gate of the castle. Before they reached the gate, Yang Ming saw a beautiful woman standing proudly in front of the gate of the butterfly castle because of his special ability. This woman was very beautiful. Although she was already a little old, she did not lose her charm. What surprised Yang Ming in particular was that this beautiful woman's figure was well maintained. She was very fit. At first glance, it was obvious that it was the result of persistent training. This was the normal physical characteristics of people who practiced martial arts. The same was true for Wang Xiaoyan and Victoria. There was not a trace of excess fat on their bodies. Such a person, how did Fong Tian provoke her? Although this beautiful woman was very beautiful, her expression was very indifferent. There was a faint anger in her eyes, which made people feel very awe-inspiring. However, when Yang Ming looked at this beautiful woman, he only felt that she was a little familiar, as if he had seen her somewhere before. A few disciples of the butterfly family stood in front of her. They were all nervously confronting the beautiful woman. However, the beautiful woman didn't look as nervous as them. Instead, she was very casual, as if she didn't put these people in her eyes at all. This kind of attitude of looking down on the world showed her strength. Yang Ming could be sure at this moment that this beautiful woman had considerable strength. Moreover, since she came here to find trouble, she must have expected that Wang Songshan would become Fang Tian's helper. Even Fang Tian's disciple, who was himself, would not stand idly by. In this case, she still dared to do so. It could only mean one thing, that this beautiful woman was fearless. She had absolute confidence and capital to stand proudly in front of the butterfly castle. Chapter 1379. While thinking in his mind, his feet did not slow down at all. He followed Wang Kezhao and came to the gate of the butterfly castle with Fang Tian and Wang Songshan. However, when they saw the beautiful woman, they all showed a very strange expression on each other's faces. There was surprise in this expression, but in Fang Tian's eyes, there was also a trace of helplessness. Seeing Fang Tian's and Wang Songshan's expressions, Yang Ming knew that these two people must know the beautiful woman in front of them. Since this was the case, Yang Ming also gave up the idea of standing out. He stood quietly and observed the situation. "Sister, is that you?" Wang Songshan's mouth squirmed twice, and he finally asked. His eyes were full of unbelievable excitement. "You didn't die. I knew that you wouldn't die. You're finally back. That's great. Of course I'm not dead. That guy surnamed Fang is not dead. How can I die before him? I'm still waiting to kill him." The beautiful woman sneered and snorted. At this moment, even if Yang Ming was stupid, he understood that the person in front of him was Wang Ruoshui, the sister of the current family master of the butterfly family, Wang Songshan. Fang Tian's old lover. Yang Ming suddenly understood. No wonder he felt that this beautiful woman was a little familiar at first glance. It was as if he had seen her somewhere. Now that he looked at Wang Songshan carefully, there was indeed some similarity between their eyebrows. However, even so, Yang Ming felt that the person who looked like Wang Ruoshui in his impression was not Wang Songshan, but another person. However, he could not remember who else for a while. Sure enough, after Fang Tian heard the beautiful woman's words, his expression was a little complicated. "Ruoshui, don't call my name. You don't deserve it." The beautiful woman, should be Wang Ruoshui, coldly interrupted Fang Tian's words. Fang Tian was choked by Wang Ruoshui's words, and suddenly felt a little embarrassed. He opened his mouth halfway, not knowing whether to continue or to shut up. "Sister, it's good that you're back. Let's not talk at the door. Since you're home, let's go in." Wang Songshan was particularly excited. His sister, who had been missing for decades, whose fate was unknown, had suddenly appeared in front of him at this moment. This made him both surprised and afraid that he was dreaming. "I came back because I heard that my niece is getting engaged. Otherwise, I wouldn't have come back in my life." Wang Ruoshui didn't even look at Fang Tian, as if he didn't exist in front of her. Fang Tian stood there and suddenly felt uncomfortable all over. His old face flushed red. He wanted to say something, but Wang Ruoshui simply ignored him. However, Yang Ming found it a little funny. This Wang Ruoshui obviously could not forget Fang Tian. Otherwise, she would not have swore solemnly that Fang Tian should come out and greet her. However, now that Fang Tian had come out, Wang Ruoshui, as a woman, couldn't put down her pride. It was reasonable to leave Fang Tian aside for a while. Yang Ming didn't believe that Wang Ruoshui came back this time just for her niece's engagement. If she wanted to see her niece, she could come and see her at any time. Why did he have to choose this time? Besides, if he wanted to see her, why did he ask Fang Tian to come out and greet her? If it was really just to see her niece, it didn't matter if Fang Tian was here or not. It could be seen that Wang Ruoshui still couldn't let go of Fang Tian in her heart, but she was embarrassed to come up directly, so she used her niece as an excuse. If he could think of this, Fang Tian could think of it too. This old guy was very smart. He might be at a loss now, but it was also because he suddenly saw Wang Ruoshui. He believed that after a while, he would be able to figure out the key to the matter. This is my niece's fiancé. Wang Ruoshui followed Wang Songshan into the butterfly castle. When she turned around, her eyes fell on Yang Ming. At this time, the most surprised people were Wang Kezhao and the disciples of the butterfly family. They never thought that the legendary sister of the family master would actually appear today. Then, those disciples who were knocked down by Wang Ruoshui were not wronged. How could they be Wang Ruoshui's opponent? This is my disciple, Yang Ming. Fang Tian didn't wait for Yang Ming and Wang Songshan to speak. He took the initiative to greet them and said with a smile. Come to think of it, he also understood the reason. Yang Ming somewhat admired Fang Tian's IQ. He was indeed very powerful. He understood the key in such a short time and seized the opportunity to take the initiative to please Wang Ruoshui. However, people at the level of Fang Tian and Wang Songshan were not good at emotions as assassins. Although they were extremely fanatical and excited when they saw that Wang Ruoshui was not dead, they had already calmed down at this moment. Fang Tian even thought of the reason why Wang Ruoshui came back this time. If Fang Tian was not smart, he could not become the king of assassins, so he quickly guessed Wang Ruoshui's mentality at this moment. Fang Tian was secretly delighted. This time, Wang Ruoshui would probably not leave his side again after she came back. However, this process would probably take a lot of twists and turns. Although they were in love at this moment, Fang Tian had abandoned her in the past. If they reconciled easily now, where would Wang Ruoshui's face go? Women always need a way out of this embarrassing situation. However, Fang Tian was very happy to create such a way out. He already felt guilty in his heart. This time, he held this idea and was prepared to not fight back and not talk back. He would do whatever Wang Ruoshui said. Anyway, Fang Tian's face was much thicker now than when he was young. He didn't care about anything at all. Of course, his disciple, Yang Ming's face was even thicker. He was better than his master. Previously in the room, the conversation with Yang Ming had already evoked his longing for Wang Ruoshui and his nostalgia for the relationship when he was young. Now that there was such a good opportunity to revive, how could Fang Tian miss it again? Looking at Wang Ruoshui in front of him, although she was already in her 40s, she looked like a woman in her 30s. She did not look old. Fang Tian was even more delighted. This time, he had made up his mind to finally embrace the beauty. This disciple of yours is not bad. Wang Ruoshui didn't turn a deaf ear to Fang Tian's words this time. Although her tone was still not very good and her words were a bit harsh, it also showed that she didn't really want to ignore Fang Tian. But I really don't understand. How can such a disciple be taught by a trash master like you? Fang Tian laughed twice and didn't refute. Instead, he followed Wang Ruoshui's meaning and said, "It's just good luck, hee." However, although this disciple of yours looks good, who knows if he's just a good-for-nothing? Wang Ruoshui said and looked at Yang Ming. If you want to marry my niece, then you must have real ability. Whether you are qualified or not, you must first pass me. Yang Ming was stunned and looked at Wang Ruoshui inexplicably. Could it be that she still doesn't know that I broke off the engagement? Let's compete. If you win against me, you can marry a woman from our Wang family. Wang Ruoshui looked at Yang Ming and said, if you can't win against me, then you can only blame your stupid master for not teaching you well. After Yang Ming listened to Wang Ruoshui's words, he thought, isn't this sowing discord? Fortunately, I don't really want to marry her niece. Otherwise, after I lose, I might really listen to Wang Ruoshui's words and complain about Fong Tian. Senior, you made a mistake. Yang Ming felt that it was better to explain clearly. It wouldn't be good to continue with this misunderstanding. Made a mistake. What did I make wrong? When Yang Ming's words came out, Wang Ruoshui was also somewhat inexplicable. Senior, I'm actually not here to get engaged with your niece. I'm here to break off the engagement. Senior Wang Songshan and Master Fong Tian can testify for me about this. They all know about it. Yang Ming explained. What did you say? You want to break off the engagement? Wang Ruoshui listened to Yang Ming's words, and her face suddenly became gloomy. A sharp murderous intent flashed in her eyes. Do you know who I hate the most in my life? Chapter 1380. Yang Ming didn't expect Wang Ruoshui to turn hostile without any warning beforehand. He was stunned, but when he saw Fong Tian and Wang Songshan, who were smiling bitterly, Yang Ming knew why Wang Ruoshui was so angry. He was here to break off the engagement, and wasn't she also broken off by Fong Tian in the past? Therefore, in her heart, she already hated this broken engagement. So when he said that he was here to break off the engagement, Wang Ruoshui became so angry. What is this? Originally, the broken engagement was successful, and Wang Songshan had already agreed. Now, the fiancé's aunt came out. It seemed that she still had a lot of resentment for him breaking off the engagement. This made Yang Ming very helpless. Senior Wang Ruoshui, you may have misunderstood. Your niece and I are not the same as you and Master Fong Tian. The two of you have feelings for each other. Your niece and I have never even met. How can we be confused? Yang Ming knew that he couldn't compromise at this time. Although the woman in front of him looked very powerful, Yang Ming would be hesitant if he really fought with her because of her identity. After all, this person had the potential to become a master's wife. But even so, even if Yang Ming didn't attack, he still had the ability to protect himself. He wouldn't be harmed by Wang Ruoshui, so he braced himself and said the above words. What do you mean by feelings for each other? Wang Ruoshui's expression changed. Being mentioned by a junior about the matter between her and Fong Tian made her feel very embarrassed. It was as if a sharp thorn had been stabbed into her heart. She immediately became a little unhappy. Of course, marriage is arranged by the elders. Back then, he and I also met under the arrangement of our parents. Yang Ming was stunned and scolded in his heart. I thought that these two people had feelings naturally and freely fell in love, but I didn't expect that they only had feelings after a blind date. What is this? Why did Fong Tian, this old undying old dang, leave mercy everywhere? He already had a wife at home, but he could still develop feelings for her through blind dates. He was really something. Then you two eventually developed feelings for each other. But I haven't even met your niece, so how can we talk about feelings? Yang Ming spread his hands and said with a wry smile, Senior Wang Ruoshui, you'd better not get involved in this matter. It's because we haven't seen each other that I can't take it anymore. Aren't you looking down on our Wang clan too much? You didn't even look at my niece and rejected her. You are really arrogant. Wang Ruoshui sneered, although that Fong fellow didn't agree to this marriage back then, he still looked at me. Hee hee. It's not that I'm belittling myself, but that niece of mine is much more beautiful than I was back then. Wang Ruoshui didn't finish her words, but the meaning was obvious. Yang Ming could also hear it. That was, although Fong Tian said that he didn't agree to this marriage, he also had feelings for her at first sight. Now, her niece was more beautiful than her. He didn't even see her and wanted to break off the engagement. How could the Wang clan endure this? Although this theory was a bit messy, Yang Ming was too lazy to argue with Wang Ruoshui. This kind of person who had been emotionally hurt had reached an unimaginable level of stubbornness. Yang Ming didn't think that he could persuade her to change anything. Senior Wang Ruoshui, this junior is not arrogant, but you just came back, and there are some things you don't understand. It's best to ask your niece first and see what she thinks. Can you blame this junior again? Yang Ming laid out facts and reason, but Wang Ruoshui didn't listen. He could only let her personally verify it with her niece. So, this is the intention of both parties to break off the engagement. Wang Ruoshui frowned after listening to Yang Ming's words. She turned her gaze and looked at Wang Songshan. She was not an unreasonable person. When she heard that Yang Ming wanted to break off the engagement, she was furious. However, when she heard Yang Ming's words, there seemed to be more to it, so she asked Wang Songshan first before making a conclusion. Sister, of course, I want to be in-laws with Fang Tian. I asked Yang Ming many times before, but he refused to marry my daughter. I can't do anything about it. Wang Songshan shrugged and said with a distressed look. Wang Ruoshui's appearance had disrupted Wang Songshan's original acting plan, but he didn't mind letting Wang Ruoshui get involved. This kind of interference could only make this scene more interesting and exciting, so he could see that it was a success. Looking at Wang Songshan, who was very talented in acting, Fang Tian could only smile bitterly. This time, he really played big. After Yang Ming listened to Wang Songshan's words, a few black lines appeared on his forehead. What the hell is this? Isn't this overstepping my authority? Wang Ruoshui asked if your daughter agreed or not, but you downplayed it to me not agreeing. Isn't this distorting the facts to cover up the truth? This is great. It's getting more and more chaotic. Sure enough, Wang Ruoshui's face sank. She looked at Yang Ming coldly. Our Wang family has no intention of breaking off the engagement. You are the one who broke off the engagement, right? This. Yang Ming looked at Fang Tian helplessly, but he didn't expect this old man to tilt his face to the side without any loyalty. He didn't look at Yang Ming's eyes at all. Obviously, he didn't want to get involved in this matter. Yang Ming scolded in his heart, but he also knew that this matter now involved Wang Ruoshui. Even if this old man had two guts, he wouldn't dare to stand up for him. This trip to Europe, Yang Ming thought that breaking off the engagement would be very smooth. Fang Tian had also said before that both parties would agree to just meet and talk. Then, the engagement could be broken off. Previously, it was indeed proceeding according to this step. Wang Songshan found him to talk, and finally agreed to break off the engagement. But who would have thought that halfway through, Wang Songshan's sister, Fang Tian's old lover, Wang Ruoshui, actually came back. My luck is too strong. I can even encounter this kind of thing. Yang Ming had to admire himself. No wonder I can get special abilities. This kind of luck is hard to come by in 1,000 years. I can encounter all kinds of strange things. What's wrong? You have nothing to say. Wang Ruoshui snorted coldly and stared at Yang Ming as if she wanted to eat him up. Heartless man, still looking for so many reasons. Let's meet in the arena tomorrow morning. After Yang Ming listened to Wang Ruoshui's words, he really didn't know what to do. Senior Wang Ruoshui, I have already broken off the engagement. Do I still want to compete? Who agreed to you breaking off the engagement? Wang Ruoshui's eyes were cold. She looked at Wang Songshan and said, Did you agree? How could I agree? I tried to dissuade it before. Wang Songshan shook his head. So, did you agree? Wang Ruoshui's gaze turned to Fang Tian again and asked faintly. I. Fang Tian looked at Yang Ming and looked at Wang Ruoshui again. He lowered his head and whispered, I didn't, motherfucker, fuck your mother. Yang Ming really wanted to point at Fang Tian's nose and scold him. This old man has learned to lie with his eyes wide open. He even betrayed his disciple for his lover. It's just too fucked up. Wang Ruoshui's gaze finally turned back to Yang Ming. Although she didn't speak, the meaning was obvious. That was, "You are lying." Yang Ming took a deep breath. Now he felt that he had become an outsider and isolated by this group of people. Fang Tian had become Wang Songshan's brother-in-law in the blink of an eye. Naturally, it was impossible for him to help him. If he had known earlier, he wouldn't have come. If he had stayed in Songjiang, no matter how powerful the butterfly family was, it was impossible for them to travel half of the world to find him. "What do you say?" Wang Ruoshui saw that Yang Ming didn't speak, so she asked impatiently, "Are you going to compete or not? What if we compete? What if we don't compete?" Yang Ming had no choice but to bite the bullet and ask. "Let's compete. Let's meet in the ring tomorrow." Wang Ruoshui paused when she said this. She had a playful expression on her face. "If you don't want to compete, then you will live here until you want to compete. Is there a difference? It's just a matter of time. This woman is unreasonable. I really don't know how Fang Tian can stand it." Yang Ming sighed. Although he didn't go tit for tat, his words were very firm. "If I don't want to compete, can you force me to compete? Even if I can't beat you, can't I run? I don't have the confidence to win, but I have the confidence to escape." "Run?" Wang Ruoshui smiled faintly as if she had heard a very funny joke. She stretched out her white finger and pointed at Wang Songshan and Fang Tian. "Even if you have inherited the teachings of the surnamed Fang, do you think you still have the possibility of running away under the siege of the three of us?" Chapter 1381. After listening to Wang Ruoshui's words, Yang Ming's expression suddenly became colorful. It was as wonderful as it could be. Wasn't this clearly bullying? "Do you think it's poker? 3 against 1. Yang Ming was confident that his skills were not inferior to any of Fang Tian, Wang Songshan, and Wang Ruoshui. In a one-on-one battle, even if he couldn't win, he could still retreat. But now, with the 3 people attacking together, Yang Ming didn't even have to try. This was not a fair fight at all. The possibility of him retreating was slim. At this moment, Yang Ming understood that it was wishful thinking to reason with this woman. It was simply playing with his life. What made him particularly annoyed was old man Fang. Looking at Fang Tian's cowardly appearance, Yang Ming felt wronged. He originally thought that having the king of assassins as a master would be awesome and mighty. Thinking back to when Yang Ming said that his master was the king of assassins in front of old Charles immediately withered. But now, his master, whom he was proud of, actually changed sides at the last minute. For his old lover, he colluded to harm his apprentice. This made Yang Ming really want to cry. Yang Ming took a deep breath. Although there were thousands of dissatisfaction in his heart, he had to bow his head under the eaves. Yang Ming had no way at all. He hesitated for a while and finally said, "Well, then let's have a competition. If you had this awareness, I wouldn't have talked so much." Wang Ruoshui was very satisfied when she saw Yang Ming yield. "So, if I win, I can go, right?" After Yang Ming knew that this battle had to be fought, he couldn't care much. Even if Fang Tian's face was not good, he still had to win against Wang Ruoshui. "Win?" Wang Ruoshui waved her hand. "I have said before that if you want to marry my niece, you must pass through me first. If you win, you can naturally get the beauty." "Hey!" Yang Ming's eyes widened. "If I win, I still have to marry your niece. What kind of competition is this?" Yang Ming didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "What if I lose?" "If you lose, it means that you are not skilled enough. Wang Ruoshui said, it doesn't matter. Anyway, you and my niece aren't that old. There's no hurry to get married, in other words, if I lose, I can leave. Yang Ming was overjoyed after hearing Wang Ruoshui's words. Did I say that you can leave? Wang Ruoshui asked. Then, Yang Ming's heart suddenly tightened. Could this Wang Ruoshui still have some other scheme? After you lose, stay in the butterfly castle and continue to train hard with your master, who is also that Fong guy. When you feel that you can beat me, we'll compete again. Wang Ruoshui said, there are many rooms in our butterfly castle. You will live well here. I didn't set a limit on the number of times you can challenge me. Don't worry, I will tolerate your repeated defeats as a senior. Yang Ming wanted to cry after hearing this. What was the difference between this and house arrest? And what was the point of this competition? If I win, I will marry your niece. If I lose, I will stay in the butterfly castle and continue to train until I can beat you. You can't play with me like this, right? Yang Ming sighed. He also knew that in this current situation, he couldn't change anything at all by being in a stalemate with Wang Ruoshui. Wang Ruoshui was very stubborn, and Yang Ming didn't expect to change anything. He could only slowly think about this matter before making a plan. Thinking of this, Yang Ming said, Senior Wang Ruoshui, please allow this junior to consider it. Okay, you can consider it. Wang Ruoshui was quite satisfied with Yang Ming's performance at the moment. Yang Ming returned to his room very gloomily. Old Man Fong, Wang Songshan, and Wang Ruoshui were all gone. Obviously, they had gone to catch up. Yang Ming didn't want to get involved in the grievances between them. I hope that Wang Ruoshui and Fong Tian can reconcile quickly. When Old Man Fong pushes Wang Ruoshui down and intercedes for me, maybe this competition will be cancelled. Yang Ming thought evilly. However, there was no other way. Yang Ming could only pin his hopes on Fong Tian. If this old guy didn't help him, he would have no hope at all. He would be trapped in the butterfly castle for the rest of his life. The scene turned back to Songjiang. Although Su Xiaobin was in a dilemma, he couldn't change anything. Lu Zhenan's words had already represented the final conclusion of this matter. Since the contract had been signed, it couldn't be changed. Su Xiaobin picked up the phone and dialed Jing Xiaolu's number. Su Xiaobin's voice sounded a little negative. Vice President Jing, this is Su Xiaobin. President Su, how is it going? Is there any latest progress? At this moment, Jing Xiaolu was also at a loss. Although she knew what means Lu Jifei used to sign the contract, it was useless even if she knew. It couldn't change the status quo at all. She could only pin her hopes on Su Xiaobin. She hoped that under his maneuvering and coordination, she could sign a new contract. Vice President Jing, I'm sorry. Su Xiaobin sighed. I have tried my best, but Vice President Lu Zhenan of the group does not agree to change the contract. What happened? Jing Xiaolu was startled, and her heart suddenly became anxious. If this contract is not changed, isn't it a foregone conclusion? I also stated the stakes of the matter to Vice President Lu, including our cooperation relationship and the future development of the newly established company. Su Xiaobin said, moreover, after Vice President Lu heard it, he promised to help me deal with it. However, after I returned to Songjiang, I received a call from Vice President Lu. Vice President Lu said that he had reported to the President and the Chairman. The people above did not agree to change the contract because the company has no precedent to change the contract after signing it. In this way, if this rule is broken, and other companies find the group to change the contract, then it will be a mess. How can this be compared? Jing Xiaolu said anxiously, President Su, is there no way to remedy it? Vice President Jing, I have tried my best, but... Su Xiaobin sighed. But my words carry no weight in the group. The board of directors will not listen to me. Jing Xiaolu also knew that Su Xiaobin was telling the truth. His position in the group determined his right to speak. Although Jing Xiaolu was annoyed with the Jiangyan group's approach, she also knew that this matter had nothing to do with Su Xiaobin. She naturally could not vent her anger on him. What's more, Su Xiaobin could help her deal with it. Jing Xiaolu was already very grateful for this. All of this was done by Lu Jifei. It could be said that she and Su Xiaobin were both victims. Su Xiaobin finally won this cooperation contract, and his promotion to the general manager of the branch was imminent. It could be said that his future was unlimited, but this kind of thing happened. The cooperation between the two sides was destined to be impossible to proceed smoothly. The lifespan of this branch was also obvious. President Su, what do you think is the probability of success if we go through legal procedures for this matter? Jing Xiaolu also had no other way. If it really didn't work, she could only go through legal procedures. Vice President Jing, to be honest, I also thought about this, but we have no evidence. Even if I testify in court, Lu Luyo and a series of people are on Lu Jifei's side. The possibility of us winning is very small. Su Xiaobin sighed. Yeah, the key is that there is no evidence. Jing Xiaolu also knew that evidence was the key. If there was no evidence, everything was empty words. Right, didn't your girlfriend record what Lu Jifei said? That recording, can it be used as evidence? That recording. Su Xiaobin said this and felt a little helpless. President Su, I know that you are afraid that your girlfriend's matter will be exposed, but I can guarantee that with our Mingyang Securities connections in Songjiang's political and legal system, this case will definitely not be heard in public. You don't have to worry about it. Jing Xiaolu thought that Su Xiaobin was afraid that the recording would be exposed, which would make him and Wang Lixiao lose face. Chapter 1382. Vice President Jing, you misunderstood. I didn't mean that. Su Xiaobin sighed. This is a long story. I took the recording to the group's Vice President Liu. I wanted Vice President Liu to decide for me, but after Vice President Liu listened to the recording, he deleted it. I wanted to stop it, but it was too late. What? Deleted? Jing Xiaolu was stunned. How can you simply ask someone to delete such an important thing? I didn't want to. How would I know that Vice President Liu would delete the evidence on his own accord? Su Xiaobin said helplessly. I went to him to ask him to decide for me, so I gave him the phone recording. You are. Jing Xiaolu didn't know what to say. She said somewhat resentfully, don't you know how to be on guard? Can this Lu Zhenan be trusted? Does he want to favor Lu Jifei? This. Su Xiaobin didn't feel anything at first, but after listening to Jing Xiaolu's words, his heart tightened. I didn't think so much before. This Lu Zhenan don't really favor Lu Jifei. After all, everyone's surname is Lu, and I'm an outsider. Now that I think about it, it is indeed like what Jing Xiaolu said. Could Lu Zhenan be intentional? Otherwise, why would he be so anxious to delete the evidence? This thing is a deterrent to Lu Jifei if I keep it in my hands. Moreover, I am not related to Lu Zhenan. This is the first time we meet alone. Why did he say so much to me? It seems like he is very concerned about me. Now that I think about it carefully, Lu Zhenan has no reason to care so much about me. I'm just a relative of his, a low-level employee in the company. Why would he care about me? If I ask him to surrender, then it is reasonable for him to help me, but I have never shown any intention to be close to him. Can he still help me? Thinking of this, Su Xiaobin suddenly broke out in a cold sweat. Now it seems that there is really a problem. Maybe Lu Jinan is really intentional. What can I say about you? Jing Xiaolu was also angry. Originally, Su Xiaobin's private affairs had nothing to do with her, but this kind of thing that could be used as auxiliary evidence was lost by him. How could Jing Xiaolu not be anxious? I'm really sorry, Vice President Jing. Su Xiaobin also knew that what he did was a bit stupid, but since it had already happened, there was no other way. Forget it. Jing Xiaolu couldn't blame Su Xiaobin, so she had to give up. I can't blame you for this. You didn't expect this consequence. It's my fault for being careless. I was so angry that I didn't use the cable to back up the recording on my computer. Su Xiaobin said reproachfully, it would be great if the mobile phone could restore the data like a computer. Yeah, wait. Jing Xiaolu suddenly had a flash of inspiration. President Su, is your phone that recorded the conversation still in your hands? Yes, but the recording has been deleted. Su Xiaobin still didn't understand what Jing Xiaolu meant. I have a good friend who is a master of computers. She may be able to restore the deleted recording on the phone. Jing Xiaolu thought of Zhou Jiejia. Last time, Zhou Jiejia helped her find the person who posted online to slander her. Jing Xiaolu admired Zhou Jiejia very much. She thought that restoring data was not too complicated. At least many computer repair shops had this business. Zhou Jiejia was a master hacker, so it was naturally not difficult for her. Oh. Really? That's great. Su Xiaobin also wanted to back up the recording as evidence. Lu Jinan deleted the recording. Although he didn't say anything on the surface, he still regretted it in his heart. Even if he didn't expose the recording now, it would be a fatal blow to Lu Jifei at the critical moment. However, he didn't think much about it when he thought that Lu Jinan had deleted it. But now, since Jing Xiaolu said that she had a friend who was good at this, his heart began to become active. Then I will send the phone to you now. Okay, come to our company directly. I will wait for you at the company, said Jing Xiaolu. After hanging up the phone, Jing Xiaolu fell into contemplation again. From Su Xiaobin's words, Jing Xiaolu already knew that it was basically impossible to expect the Jiangyan Group to change the contract. At this point, Jing Xiaolu didn't have any hope. It seemed that she had to rely on herself. At present, the only feasible way was to solve the problem through legal procedures. It was still not feasible to solve it by violence. This matter was now not just directed at Lu Jifei alone, but at the Jiangyan Group behind Lu Jifei. The Jiangyan Group's connections were not worse than Ming Yang's, and they even had a stronger foundation than Ming Yang. She believed that it was impossible to use violence to threaten the other party to change the contract. It was estimated that the other party would call the police as soon as she went. Of course, the use of violence also depended on what kind of violence and who was using it. Bao Sanli's people obviously had no deterrence to the Jiangyan Group. It was just a group of punks. She believed that the Jiangyan Group would not be afraid. But if it were Yang Ming, the Jiangyan Group would probably give in. In the face of absolute strength, even Lu Jiangyan would choose to retreat. After all, an assassin and a punk were different. These were two heavyweight figures. Lu Jiangyan would not easily offend such a person even if he was stupid. Jing Xiaolu made a cup of coffee for herself and sat quietly at the desk. She frowned slightly and looked at the contract in front of her. If she wanted to go through legal procedures, she still had to start with the contract. However, this contract was clearly written in black and white, and it was signed and sealed by both parties. It was simply impeccable. It was almost impossible to find a loophole in it. This contract had been drafted by Lu Luyo and Wang Hongcha, two contract experts. Only a few of the clauses had been changed. Everything else remained the same. It seemed that if she wanted to have a breakthrough, she had to start from other aspects. If the normal way was not working, she could start from some neglected details. Jing Xiaolu closed her eyes and began to recall the entire process of signing the contract, hoping to find something from it. She didn't know how long it took, but the internal phone on the desk rang. Jing Xiaolu recovered from her contemplation and picked up the phone on the desk. Hello. Vice President Jing, I am Xiao Zhang at the front desk. There is a Mr. Su Xiaobin from the Jiangyan Group Songjiang office who wants to see you. The voice of Xiao Zhang at the front desk came from the phone receiver. Let him come directly to my office. Jing Xiaolu heard that Su Xiaobin had arrived and said quickly. Okay, Vice President Jing, I will let him go up, said Xiao Zhang. Not long after hanging up the phone, there was a knock on the door of the office. Jing Xiaolu knew that Su Xiaobin was coming, so she stood up and walked over to open the door. President Su, you are here. Vice President Jing, I brought the phone. It has been turned off. I didn't dare to do anything else. I was afraid that it would affect the data recovery. Su Xiaobin handed the phone in his hand to Jing Xiaolu. Jing Xiaolu took a look at it and carefully put it in her bag. She was going to find Zhou Jiejie in a while and ask her to help recover the recording data inside. If the recording can be recovered, our lawsuit will be easier. Jing Xiaolu looked at Su Xiaobin gratefully. President Su, I'm really sorry. I want to sue your company, and you are still helping. Su Xiaobin waved his hand and smiled bitterly. Vice President Jing, don't say that. If Lu Jifei didn't do too much, I wouldn't stand in your position. I just want to be fair and just in our cooperation. However, this evidence alone is not enough. This is only auxiliary evidence. It can prove the possibility that Lu Jifei used incense to commit the crime, but it is not certain. Jing Xiaolu said, I still need to find some other evidence. I can't do anything about this. Su Xiaobin said apologetically, however, if Vice President Jing needs any help, you can contact me at any time. I have done my best to help you. I am already very grateful to you. Jing Xiaolu said sincerely, as for the rest, I will find my own way. Chapter 1383. After sending Su Xiaobin away, Jing Xiaolu did not stay. She took the mobile phone sent by Su Xiaobin, went downstairs, drove the car, and went straight to the school. While waiting for the signal light on the road, she called Zhou Jiejie. Jiejie, this is Xiaolu. Are you at school? Asked Jing Xiaolu. Xiaolu, I am at school. What's the matter? Zhou Jiejie and Jing Xiaolu were already very familiar. Moreover, she probably guessed some of Jing Xiaolu's thoughts in her heart. Zhou Jiejie did not have any bad feelings for her. When she saw Jing Xiaolu, she thought of herself in the past, so her attitude toward Jing Xiaolu was still very kind. There is something. I want to ask you for help. I don't know if you have time, asked Jing Xiaolu. There will always be time. You tell me what it is first and see if I can help you. Zhou Jiejie smiled. This is the case. I have a mobile phone here. There is a very important recording in it, but it was deleted. Can you restore it? Asked Jing Xiaolu. This is the case. After the recording was deleted, did the phone record again? Asked Zhou Jiejie after listening. No, the phone was turned off after deleting it. There was no other operation, said Jing Xiaolu. That's easy. It's very easy. You can bring the phone to school, said Zhou Jiejie. Do you have time now? Jing Xiaolu was very surprised when she heard Zhou Jiejie say that it could be restored. Hee, it won't take much time. It will be solved in 10 minutes. Zhou Jiejie smiled and said, this is not complicated. Just use the software to restore it. It is just like restoring the data in the USB drive. It is not difficult. That's good. I am on the way to school. I will be there in a while. Jing Xiaolu hung up the phone. Although she was somewhat happy in her heart, there was also some faint sadness. The women around Yang Ming didn't seem to be vases. She really didn't know how this Yang Ming found them. Take Zhou Jiejie as an example. Her talent and achievements in computer science were not what others could reach. Originally, he also wanted to be a person who could help Yang Ming, but he didn't expect that he would fail in his first business negotiation and fall into the contract trap. It would be fine if he could solve it perfectly. Otherwise, what would Yang Ming think of him? Wouldn't he think that he was a big idiot? Jing Xiaolu's BMW was exceptionally dazzling in the school, attracting the attention of many materialistic girls. If it was in the past, Jing Xiaolu would have enjoyed this feeling of pride. But now, Jing Xiaolu's mind was not on this at all. She hurriedly parked the car in front of the computer teacher building. Jing Xiaolu got out of the car and quickly ran in. At the door of the laboratory on the top floor, Jing Xiaolu called Zhou Jiejie. This was an experimental base. Without an IC card, one could not enter, so Jing Xiaolu could only wait for Zhou Jiejie to pick her up. It didn't take long for Zhou Jiejie to run out with the phone. When she saw Jing Xiaolu, she waved to her. Xiaolu, here. As Zhou Jiejie spoke, she opened the iron door of the laboratory with an IC card and let Jing Xiaolu in. Jing Xiaolu could enter this first door, but there was an identity verification checkpoint in the laboratory inside. Even if Zhou Jiejie could enter, she would not bring Jing Xiaolu in. After all, the laboratory had regulations that did not allow non-project team members to enter. Zhou Jiejie took Jing Xiaolu to her and Xiaoqing's room and apologized, "You can't enter the laboratory. You can only stay here. It's good that I can come in." Jing Xiaolu smiled. "Ordinary people can't come in here, right?" Zhou Jiejie saw that Jing Xiaolu was not displeased, so she didn't say much. "What about the cell phone? Let me show you." "Here." Jing Xiaolu quickly handed Su Xiaobin's cell phone to Zhou Jiejie. "Where is the data cable?" asked Zhou Jiejie. "Yeah. I forgot to ask for it. Do you still need a data cable?" Jing Xiaolu listened to Zhou Jiejie's words and said, "Why don't I call now and ask someone to send the data cable? Then don't bother. I will take a look first." Zhou Jiejie waved her hand and stopped Jing Xiaolu from making a call. Since Zhou Jiejie said that she would take a look first, Jing Xiaolu did not call directly, but she also held her cell phone in her hand and was ready to contact Su Xiaobin at any time. Zhou Jiejie turned on the cell phone and then entered the settings menu. After looking at the storage path of the recording, she nodded slightly and turned off the cell phone again. She opened the back cover of the cell phone, removed the battery, and carefully took out a memory card under the battery. She said with a relaxed expression, "The cell phone setting is to directly store the recording file into the memory card, not into the cell phone's memory, so there is no need for a data cable. It is fine as long as there is a card reader." Jing Xiaolu was very novel about these things. She nodded as if she understood. She watched Zhou Jiejie find a card reader, insert the memory card, and connect it to the laptop. Seeing Zhou Jiejie skillfully open a data recovery software, Jing Xiaolu was a little envious. "It seems that I should also learn some computer knowledge. Otherwise, I am afraid that I will suffer in the future." Jing Xiaolu secretly made up her mind. After this matter was successfully solved, she would buy a few computer magazines to learn. "Okay, it's done." Zhou Jiejie exported the recovered recording file, saved it on the computer desktop, and clicked the play button. Lu Jifei's clear voice came from the computer speaker, "You think about it. You have become my lover. Can I treat you badly? What is this?" Zhou Jijia asked after listening to a few words. Jing Xiaolu was also a little embarrassed. Listening to the two people's explicit dialogue, her face couldn't help but blush. And evidence. Oh. Zhou Jijia didn't ask much. She was still a virgin like Jing Xiaolu. She didn't have any substantial relationship with Yang Ming, so after listening to these things, her face was not much better than Jing Xiaolu's. It's very clear. There is no problem. Then I will turn it off. You brought something like a USB flash drive. I will copy it for you. I didn't bring. Jing Xiaolu secretly scolded herself for being an idiot. Looking for Zhou Jijia to recover the data, but I didn't even bring a copy medium. This computer knowledge really needs to be crammed. Then I will copy it into this memory card first. Zhou Jijia said and copied the audio file into the memory card. Right, you can send another copy to my mobile phone's mailbox. Jing Xiaolu said just in case. Okay, what is your mobile phone's mailbox? Zhou Jijia nodded and opened the mailbox software. Okay, I sent it over. Zhou Jijia clicked the mouse a few times and said to Jing Xiaolu. Jijia, thank you so much. Jing Xiaolu said sincerely. If she didn't know Zhou Jijia, she really wouldn't have thought of the data recovery. It's nothing. It's just a small matter. Zhou Jijia smiled. Jijia, are you free? I will treat you to a meal. Jing Xiaolu thought about it and said, you helped me a lot last time. I didn't have time to thank you. This time, you helped me again. Eat. Zhou Jijia hesitated. It's only 3:00 in the afternoon. Isn't it a bit early to eat? It's not early. Let's go out and find a restaurant. It's almost time to eat. Jing Xiaolu said quickly. Well, I will go and ask for leave from Sister Xiaoqing. Zhou Jijia could vaguely guess Jing Xiaolu's thoughts about Yang Ming, so she wasn't willing to reject Jing Xiaolu. Zhou Jijia wasn't sure whether she could be together with Yang Ming in the future, but at least she didn't hate her. Since there was this opportunity now, it was fine for the relationship between the two people to be better. And I will wait for you. Jing Xiaolu nodded and walked out of the room with Zhou Jijia. Although the company's contract matter made Jing Xiaolu very upset, it wasn't a solution that could be found in a short time. She could have a meal with Zhou Jijia and relax. Maybe she could think of some solutions. Chapter 1384. Zhou Jijia entered the laboratory and briefly told Xiaoqing that a friend was looking for her. The two of them went out to eat. Xiaoqing looked at the time. It was basically time to get off work, so she didn't say anything. She agreed to Zhou Jijia's leave and just told her to pay attention to her safety. Let's go. Zhou Jijia walked out of the laboratory and said to Jing Xiaolu, who was in a daze, I have applied for leave. Oh, okay, let's go. Jing Xiaolu recovered and looked at Zhou Jijia with an apologetic smile. Sorry, I was distracted. Xiaolu, you seem to have something on your mind. Zhou Jijia noticed when Jing Xiaolu came. There seemed to be a trace of worry between Jing Xiaolu's eyebrows. Although Jing Xiaolu tried not to show it, Zhou Jijia still noticed something. Now that she saw Jing Xiaolu's absent-minded look, she was more sure that Jing Xiaolu seemed to have something on her mind. Nothing. Jing Xiaolu shook her head. What she encountered now, even if she told Zhou Jijia, it would be useless. Instead, it would make Zhou Jijia worry about her. Seeing that Jing Xiaolu didn't say anything, Zhou Jijia no longer pressed, then let's go. Let's go. Jing Xiaolu nodded and went downstairs with Zhou Jijia. Your car. Zhou Jie was a little surprised to see Jing Xiaolu take out the remote control and open the BMW door. This car was the same as Yang Ming's car, but the license plate was different. Zhou Jie naturally wouldn't think that it was Yang Ming's car. Yang, the company. Jing Xiaolu blushed and suddenly felt embarrassed. Previously, she wanted to say that Yang Ming gave it to her, but saying it in front of Zhou Jie seemed to be showing off. Jing Xiaolu knew that Zhou Jie was Yang Ming's girlfriend, and she wasn't, so she quickly stopped and temporarily changed it to the company's. She didn't want to attract Zhou Jie's disgust for no reason. Zhou Jie was smart. When she heard the word Yang before Jing Xiaolu's words, she roughly understood that this car was most likely given to Jing Xiaolu by Yang Ming. However, Zhou Jie wasn't jealous of anything. It was just a car. In contrast, Yang Ming's feelings for her were far more than a car. Zhou Jie was grateful for Yang Ming's friendship of bringing her father out of the Charles family. Yang Ming bought it for you. Zhou Jie smiled slightly. She didn't want to play any riddles with Jing Xiaolu. Since he had already seen through something, there was no need to hide it anymore. No, yes. Jing Xiaolu just wanted to deny it, but she felt that she shouldn't lie to Zhou Jie, so she forced herself to admit it. No. Zhou Jie didn't pay attention to Jing Xiaolu's ambiguous tone. She thought that Jing Xiaolu was nervous because she mentioned Yang Ming. When she heard Jing Xiaolu stutter and say no, Zhou Jie was a little puzzled for a while. Did I guess wrong? No, yes. Jing Xiaolu quickly added. What? Zhou Jie was confused by Jing Xiaolu. Xiaolu, what are you talking about? This car was given to me by Yang Ming, but it was for the company. It was just that I drove it, said Jing Xiaolu. Hee, do you like Yang Ming? Zhou Jie smiled and asked suddenly. Me? Jing Xiaolu was stunned and looked at Zhou Jie. She didn't know how Zhou Jie saw through her thoughts. For a while, she suddenly felt perturbed. She didn't know how Zhou Jie was going to deal with her. Jing Xiaolu was like a mistress who was discovered by the legal wife. She lowered her head and didn't dare to look at Zhou Jie. She couldn't figure out why Zhou Jie would ask this. If Yang Ming gave her a car, it should be Yang Ming who likes her, not the other way around. Isn't it because she likes Yang Ming? From a common point of view, this was what anyone would think. However, Zhou Jie was the opposite. Although what she said was true, Jing Xiaolu couldn't guess how Zhou Jie knew this. Hee, did I see it wrong? Zhou Jie saw Jing Xiaolu's shocked and frightened look. How could she not be sure? However, she deliberately teased her. How did you see it? Jing Xiaolu was inexplicably surprised. She thought that Zhou Jie knew something from Yang Ming, but she didn't expect Zhou Jie to see it by herself. Since Zhou Jie saw it, then did Chen Mengyan and Lin Jiyun also see it? Thinking of this, Jing Xiaolu suddenly had a cold sweat. Don't worry. Zhou Jie saw Jing Xiaolu's cautious look and chuckled. Only I can see it. Sister Mengyan and the others don't know. Who? Jing Xiaolu breathed a sigh of relief, but she was even more puzzled in her heart. Since Chen Mengyan and Lin Jiyun didn't see it, then how did Zhou Jie see it? Could it be that she had some sort of special ability? Let's talk about it in the car. Zhou Jie looked at Jing Xiaolu, who stood stupidly beside the car and was a little amused. However, Zhou Jie wouldn't laugh at Jing Xiaolu. Now, Jing Xiaolu was very similar to her past self. Wasn't she also paranoid and worried about personal gains and losses? Okay. At this time, Jing Xiaolu also found that she stood stupidly in front of the car, which had attracted some students' attention. Originally, the BMW was more eye-catching on campus. Jing Xiaolu and Zhou Jiejie were pure and beautiful. Two beautiful women standing beside the luxury car always made some people's imagination run wild. Jing Xiaolu naturally felt these gazes and suddenly felt a little uncomfortable. She quickly opened the door of the driver's seat and sat in. Zhou Jiejie also smiled slightly and sat in the front passenger seat. "Where are we going?" After Jing Xiaolu got in the car, she started the car and asked Zhou Jiejie nervously. Zhou Jiejie was stunned and immediately said, "Didn't you want to treat me to a meal?" "Ah. Meal, yes, I want to treat you to a meal." Jing Xiaolu was a little embarrassed and remembered her purpose. "What do you want to eat?" "I will eat whatever you treat me to." Zhou Jiejie was amused by Jing Xiaolu. She seemed to be a very smart person. How could she be so stupid and confused? However, Zhou Jiejie immediately stopped laughing at Jing Xiaolu. "Wasn't I the same? When I fell in love with Yang Ming, I was no less stupid than Jing Xiaolu. Oh, then I know a special Cantonese restaurant that has just opened. It is full every day. Let's go there." Jing Xiaolu thought about it and said. When this Cantonese restaurant opened, it sent a flyer to the company and gave a lot of vouchers to Ming Yang. Jing Xiaolu happened to have some in her bag. With the status of Ming Yang security in Songjiang, these restaurants would naturally try to please them when they opened. This was not strange. Jing Xiaolu just remembered it, so she planned to try it. Okay. Zhou Jiejie was not picky about the taste of food. Although she was born in a rich environment, her father was a butler in the Charles family, and her mother's company was very busy. Therefore, Zhou Jiejie ate what she could since she was young. She did not have the habits of those young ladies. Jing Xiaolu nodded, started the car, and drove to the newly opened Cantonese restaurant. Seeing a row of cars parked in front of the Cantonese restaurant, Jing Xiaolu knew that the rumors of her colleagues in the company were not false. This Cantonese restaurant was really popular. There were so many people eating here. It was only 4:00 in the afternoon. It was not the official meal time yet, but there were already many diners. Jing Xiaolu parked the car and entered the restaurant lobby with Zhou Jiejie. The people who came here to eat were endless. The previous few people asked for a private room and then went upstairs with the waiter. Jing Xiaolu thought about it and felt that her conversation with Zhou Jiejie involved some private things. Although there were only two people, they should also have a private room. So, she said to the waiter at the front desk, "We also want a private room." The waiter looked at Jing Xiaolu and Zhou Jiejie. When he saw that there were only two of them, he was a little unhappy. It was almost meal time. The private rooms were not enough. These two people had to occupy a private room. It was too wasteful. Moreover, the other party was two women. They definitely would not order too many dishes. As for cigarettes and alcohol, it was even more impossible. Chapter 1385. Thinking of this, the waiter asked, "How many of you?" "Just the two of us." Jing Xiaolu didn't notice the waiter's intention. She still said very kindly, "A small private room is fine." "Sorry, if you want a private room, you need to make an appointment in advance." The waiter confirmed that there were only two of them, so he didn't intend to give them a private room. There was no minimum charge in the restaurant's private room, so it was not cost-effective to give it to just the two of them. Therefore, he found such an excuse to make an appointment. "Then let's sit in the hall." Zhou Jiejie didn't mind. She didn't think much when she saw the popularity here. On the other hand, Jing Xiaolu was mischievous. She used to be a waiter, so she had some understanding of the minds of these waiters. When she saw the flickering gaze in the waiter's eyes and thought of the previous group of guests, Jing Xiaolu understood. The few people before us didn't make a reservation. Why do they have a private room? They made an appointment. The waiter rolled his eyes. He didn't expect Jing Xiaolu to be so difficult to deal with. She actually noticed these details. Did they make an appointment? Jing Xiaolu sneered. Why did I hear them just ask if there were any private rooms, and you gave them one? They are the boss's friends. The waiter frowned and thought, this little girl in front of me is very observant. She even found out about this. However, he had already made up his mind not to give Jing Xiaolu a private room. If it were another male waiter, seeing Jing Xiaolu and Zhou Jiejia's beauty, he might not even be able to please them. How could he make things difficult for them? However, this waiter was an auntie in her 40s. She was a laid-off worker. The factory owed her a fixed salary, and her husband had an affair with a little vixen who took away the family's savings. Therefore, she inevitably had a bit of a cynical and twisted mentality. She came here to work because she was related to the boss. Therefore, for these two little girls who dressed like rich people, this old woman was even more deliberately difficult. Are you contradicting yourself? You said that they made an appointment, and you said that they are the boss's friends. What is it? Jing Xiaolu looked at the waiter with a smile. Why don't you call the boss out, and I will ask him? Hearing that they were going to call the boss, the waiter's face suddenly changed. Although she was the boss's relative, she knew that the restaurant had just opened and the boss was busy with social activities every day. He didn't have time. Since the conversation had already reached this point, the waiter didn't want to make a big deal out of it. He snorted and said, then let me see if there are any available rooms. That's more like it. Jing Xiaolu now remembered Yang Ming's words. She wouldn't cause trouble casually, but not causing trouble didn't mean that she was afraid of trouble. She still had to have these things to fight for. Jing Xiaolu took out the coupons from her bag. Previously, Bao Sanli gave her a stack of coupons. She didn't look at how much it was and just threw it in her bag. At this moment, she took it out and was ready to count how much it was so that she could order the dishes according to the amount. Jing Xiaolu also thought about it. The service attitude of this restaurant really needed to be observed. After coming here once, she didn't plan to come a second time. She would just finish the voucher in one go. There's no one in room 602. Originally, the waiter was going to find a small private room for Jing Xiaolu, but when she looked up and saw the voucher in Jing Xiaolu's hand, her face fell again. The restaurant had just opened, and these vouchers were really given out a lot. Shopping malls, parks, newspapers, and so on were all given out. These vouchers were equivalent to losing money, so when the waiter saw Jing Xiaolu take out the voucher, he was immediately unhappy. He said with a straight face, there are no more private rooms. You can eat in the hall. No more. Didn't you just say that there are more? Jing Xiaolu frowned. She didn't know why this woman suddenly changed her mind. If you use the voucher, there will be no more. Originally, the waiter thought that Jing Xiaolu was using real money to spend, so he didn't want to offend her too much, so he finally agreed to give her a private room. But now, since she used the voucher, then he didn't have to be nice to her at all. If she wanted to eat here, then she could eat. If she didn't want to eat, then she could leave. It was best to leave immediately, and then she wouldn't need to spend the voucher. Jing Xiaolu was in a bad mood. When she heard the waiter's words, she knew that the waiter was deliberately looking for trouble. She frowned. Where does the voucher say that I can't eat in the private room? Security. Someone is making trouble here. Since the waiter already knew that Jing Xiaolu was using the voucher to spend, he wasn't afraid that she wouldn't eat here. Seeing that she was still arguing here, he was a little impatient and directly called the security. For the security here, the waiter was quite confident. It was said that the boss invited them from the Mingyang Security Company. Both the black and white sides of Songjiang City were very respectful. With these people suppressing the scene, the people who came to make trouble would basically be silent. A few days ago, there was a group of little punks who wanted to eat dinner and didn't want to pay. As a result, they found the security of the Mingyang Security Company. When the little punks heard the name, they were so scared that they paid and left. Therefore, the waiter directly classified Jing Xiaolu as a troublemaker and wanted the security to drive her out. Xiaoli was the security captain here. He knew that the old woman at the front desk was a relative of the restaurant manager. Her words had some weight, so when he heard her shout that someone was making trouble, he didn't dare to neglect and quickly ran over. However, before he walked to the front desk, Xiaoli saw a familiar figure standing at the front desk arguing with the old woman. Xiaoli took a closer look. How could he not know this person? Isn't this the company's vice president, Jing Xiaolu? I heard that even Bao Sanli has to be polite to her. Her man is someone who even Bao Sanli is afraid of. Although Xiaoli didn't know about the high-level matters, he had heard the general rumors, especially the news from Mingyang Entertainment. It said that Jing Xiaolu's man was the company's chairman. Even Bao Sanli and Ho Shenhan were working for him. Therefore, after seeing Jing Xiaolu, Xiaoli didn't dare to neglect. He even forgot what the old woman said before. He ran to Jing Xiaolu and greeted her respectfully, "Vice President Jing, hello. Welcome." Jing Xiaolu looked at Xiaoli and asked with some amazement, "You are? Do you know me? I am an employee of our company. My name is Li Jixing. I am responsible for the security work here." Li Jixing said quickly. "Ah, it turns out that you are a person from the Mingyang Security Company." Jing Xiaolu mainly worked at Mingyang Entertainment. However, because of the recent cooperation with Bao Sanli in the new company, she had the title of vice president in Mingyang Security Company. In fact, she didn't know many of these employees. But she didn't know these employees. It was impossible for these employees not to know the vice president in the company. "Sister Zhang, this is our company's vice president Jing. Why don't you arrange a private room for her?" Li Jixing wasn't stupid. He heard this old woman called Sister Zhang shouting that someone was making trouble, so he ran over. On the way, other waiters told him about the situation here. It was nothing more than a guest asking for a private room, but Sister Zhang wasn't willing to give it to her. So, both sides had a disagreement. Seeing that the guest who was making trouble was actually Vice President Jing, Li Jixing immediately began to think about how to resolve the situation while greeting her. Although this Sister Zhang wasn't a good person, she was a relative of the restaurant owner after all. Although Li Jixing was under the management of Mingyang Security Company, he still had to work in other people's territory. It wasn't good to offend this Sister Zhang too much. Therefore, Li Jixing directly pointed at Sister Zhang. He wanted to see if she knew how to behave. If she was still so ambiguous, then he could only report the situation to the boss. This Sister Zhang would probably be kicked out of the door. He believed that between Vice President Jing and his relative, the boss would know how to choose. Although this Sister Zhang's heart was twisted, she wasn't a fool. When she heard Li Jixing pointed out Jing Xiaolu's identity, she was immediately scared. Never mind her, even her relative boss also wanted to have a good relationship with the boss of Mingyang Security Company. Chapter 1386. Usually, people don't even come when you invite them to a meal. If you give them a voucher, they won't even look at you. Now that a vice president of the company was willing to come here for a meal, I actually offended her. Sister Zhang regretted it. This restaurant isn't mine. Why do I have to worry so much? What's wrong with using a voucher to eat in a private room? Thinking of this, Sister Zhang immediately changed into a smiling face. She was the typical type of person who bullied the weak and feared the strong. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been so scared after her boss delayed her salary. Now that she was the front desk receptionist of a super popular restaurant, she felt that she had some authority. She liked to make things difficult for some customers who didn't seem to have high spending standards. This time, she didn't expect to kick an iron plate. She actually offended someone who even her relative boss didn't dare to offend. Vice President Jing, I'm sorry about that. I'll prepare a private room for you, Sister Zhang said to Jing Xiaolu with a smile. Her previous poker face instantly turned into a blooming flower. 602. No, VIP room 999. It's the most luxurious private room on the top floor of our hotel. Jing Xiaolu listened to Sister Zhang's words. She was both angry and amused. Looking at Sister Zhang's current appearance, Jing Xiaolu couldn't even think of being angry with her. Her identity had changed, and so had her mentality. Perhaps if it were her previous self, she might have said a few words to vent her anger, but now, she really didn't have such thoughts. However, she was still a little proud of Sister Zhang's change in her heart. However, Jing Xiaolu also knew that the reason why Sister Zhang was so respectful now was entirely because of her identity as the vice president of the Mingyang Security Company. Without this identity, how would Sister Zhang know her? All of this was thanks to Yang Ming. Without Yang Ming, she wouldn't be able to get to where she was today. Thinking of this, Jing Xiaolu's heart was even more worried. There was such a big mistake in the contract signing. If it wasn't resolved, even if Yang Ming didn't say anything, she wouldn't have the face to continue to be the vice president. There is no need for a luxurious VIP room. An ordinary one is fine. Jing Xiaolu didn't come here to put on airs. She just wanted to find a quiet place to talk to Zhou Jie. Since Zhou Jie had already guessed that she liked Yang Ming, although she didn't know how she guessed it, Jing Xiaolu felt that Zhou Jie was not hostile, and the relationship between the two seemed to be closer in an instant. Jing Xiaolu had the urge to complain to Zhou Jie. After the contract trap incident, Jing Xiaolu wanted to find someone to talk to and discuss with. She wanted to tell someone about her troubles. However, it was impossible for such a person to exist in the Mingyang company. It was impossible for Bao Sanli to exist. After all, Jing Xiaolu and him had not reached the point of opening their hearts to each other. Jing Xiaolu could not tell him her thoughts. As for her subordinates in the company, it was even more impossible. Jing Xiaolu couldn't talk to them at all. Now, she met Zhou Jie. In this case, Jing Xiaolu wanted to tell Zhou Jie about her troubles and worries. Even if Zhou Jie couldn't help her, Jing Xiaolu would feel better if she told her. Vice President Jing, please be magnanimous and forgive me. Please don't take it to heart. Sister Zhang was shocked after listening to Jing Xiaolu's words. She quickly said, I really didn't mean it before. Please forgive me this time. Forgive you for what? Jing Xiaolu was inexplicable when she heard it. She was stunned. What are you talking about? This. Sister Zhang looked at Jing Xiaolu's surprised look at the moment. It didn't seem to be fake. She suddenly had some doubts. I gave you a VIP room, but you don't want it. You want a small private room. Aren't you angry with me? After listening to Sister Zhang's words, Jing Xiaolu was really dumbfounded. What does this have to do with being angry? It's just the two of us. We just want to find a quiet place to talk. You can just find a small and quiet private room. I don't need a luxurious private room or anything like that. Li Jixing also heard that Jing Xiaolu was not angry to make things difficult for Sister Zhang. She really wanted a small private room, so he quickly gave Sister Zhang a look. Sister Zhang, our Vice President Jing said that she wants a small private room. You should quickly find one. Why are you talking so much? Yes, yes. Sister Zhang woke up and quickly found a private room at the end of the corridor. There should be no one to disturb them here, so she said, then let's go to private room 330. It is quieter there. I will find a waiter to take you up. No need, Sister Zhang. I will accompany Vice President Jing up. Li Jixing waved his hand to Sister Zhang and stopped her from finding a waiter. Okay, okay. Sister Zhang nodded quickly. She had offended Jing Xiaolu. Now, she was still counting on Li Jixing to say a few good words for her. However, Jing Xiaolu didn't seem to care about Sister Zhang at all. Her previous argument was just that she wanted a quiet place to talk. As for the size of the private room, Jing Xiaolu didn't care at all. Under Li Jixing's guidance, Jing Xiaolu and Zhou Jiejie came to private room 330 on the third floor of the restaurant. This was the innermost private room on the entire third floor. There was no one else in the private room next to it, so it was very quiet. It was a good place to talk. Vice President Jing, please. Then I will go downstairs. Li Jixing sent Jing Xiaolu and Zhou Jiejie to the private room and said respectfully. Okay, little Li, you go ahead. Jing Xiaolu waved her hand, indicating that he could leave. After Li Jixing turned and left, a waiter from the restaurant came in to help take orders. Jing Xiaolu and Zhou Jiejie had never eaten here before. Today was their first time here, so they let the waiter take charge and recommend a few specialties here. After the waiter left, the atmosphere in the private room suddenly became strange. Jing Xiaolu had something on her mind. She lowered her head and didn't speak. Zhou Jiejie seemed to be waiting for Jing Xiaolu to speak, so for a while, the private room was terrifyingly quiet. Xiaolu, why aren't you talking? Zhou Jiejie also felt the dull atmosphere, so she spoke first. Jiejie, you said before, you can see. I like Yang Ming. How did you see it? Jing Xiaolu took a deep breath. Although she felt that she was a bit abrupt, she was still very curious about how Zhou Jiejie saw through her thoughts. Hee, you are talking about this. Zhou Jiejie smiled slightly after listening. It turned out that Jing Xiaolu had been worried about this matter. Xiaolu, in fact, it's nothing. I'm not sure how I can see it, but it's just a feeling, an intuition. Ah. Doesn't that mean that Sister Meng Yan and the others can also see it? Jing Xiaolu was surprised. She was surprised by Zhou Jiejie's unusually keen intuition. That's not it. Zhou Jiejie shook her head. The reason why I can feel it is because I have also been in the same period as you and had the same problem as you are now. Oh. What do you mean? Jing Xiaolu's eyes lit up. She seemed to feel something. Is Zhou Jiejie going to give me some advice? Whether it is Chen Mengyan or Lin Jiyun, they and Yang Ming are all together naturally. There is a feeling of success when the conditions are right. Zhou Jiejie sighed. And my situation is similar to yours. We are all chasing after Yang Ming, so I can feel that your current mood is very similar to mine. However, others may not have this experience. It turns out to be like this. Jing Xiaolu's eyes widened. She didn't understand how Yang Ming and Zhou Jiejie were together. Now that she heard Zhou Jiejie's explanation, she suddenly had a feeling of sympathy. No wonder Zhou Jiejie could see some clues. This is also because she has a similar experience with me. So, you are admitting that I guessed it right? Zhou Jiejie looked at Jing Xiaolu's stunned expression and asked. Jing Xiaolu blushed and nodded. Since Zhou Jiejie had already guessed her thoughts, then it was useless for Jing Xiaolu to hide it. Besides, she didn't want to hide it. The more this kind of thing was hidden, the more disadvantageous it was for her. It was better to just admit it. Looking at Zhou Jiejia's current appearance, it didn't seem like she wanted to make things difficult for her. I have been secretly in love with him for a long time. Jing Xiaolu whispered. However, it seems that there is no progress. Who would be willing to publicize it to others? Jing Xiaolu thought, the things between me and Yang Ming, I'm afraid I don't want to talk to others casually, right? But what she didn't expect was that Zhou Jiejie was actually willing to tell her. This made Jing Xiaolu suddenly feel surprised and inexplicably flattered. Jiejie, you are so nice. Jing Xiaolu said happily, thank you for telling me so much. Zhou Jiejie shook her head. She helped Jing Xiaolu purely because she felt that Jing Xiaolu's current situation was somewhat similar to her previous situation. She struggled in the whirlpool of love every day and couldn't extricate herself. Zhou Jiejie deeply experienced this feeling of anxiety, so she was so friendly to Jing Xiaolu. Zhou Jiejie was not a jealous person. In the beginning, didn't Chen Mengyan and Lin Jiyun sincerely accept her? Therefore, Zhou Jiejie felt that after she got the happiness she wanted, there was no need to hinder and make things difficult for others. On the contrary, if she could contribute a little, it would make her feel grateful. Yang Ming and I were classmates in junior high school. At that time, Zhou Jiejie opened her mouth and slowly talked about the process of how she and Yang Ming met and fell in love. There was a fascinated expression between her eyebrows. She seemed to be immersed in this sad and beautiful love story. Jing Xiaolu originally thought that there was a thick wall between Yang Ming and herself. But now, after listening to the initial relationship between Zhou Jiejie and Yang Ming, Jing Xiaolu suddenly felt that the thick wall between her and Yang Ming was nothing. Between Zhou Jiejie and Yang Ming, there was simply a huge gap. What kind of perseverance does this girl have to finally grasp her own happiness? Jing Xiaolu was impressed and curious. She opened her eyes wide and looked at Zhou Jiejie without blinking. She listened to the story she was telling. When Zhou Jiejie said that she blocked the bullet for Yang Ming and was unconscious, Jing Xiaolu was completely shocked. For your lover, you can give up your life. How much courage does this require? Jing Xiaolu asked herself, if I were in Zhou Jiejie's position, would I block the bullet for Yang Ming? Maybe. Maybe not. Would I or not? Looking at Jing Xiaolu's unpredictable expression, Zhou Jiejie seemed to guess what she was thinking. She smiled and said, Xiaolu, are you thinking that if it were you at that time, would you block the bullet for Yang Ming? Jing Xiaolu was completely impressed by Zhou Jiejie at this moment. This girl not only had an amazing talent in computing, but she was also like a computer. She could guess and calculate the thoughts of others accurately. She was no less than a computer. I won't hide it from you. Jing Xiaolu lowered her head. In fact, from the bottom of my heart, I felt that I would block the bullet for him, but I was scared. When I thought that the other person had a gun in his hand, I was afraid that my legs would go soft. This is normal. After Zhou Jiejie listened to Jing Xiaolu's words, she did not make fun of her. In fact, even if it was me, I am a little timid when I think about it now. But in the situation at that time, it was an instinctive action. It was a subconscious action without thinking about it. I didn't know how to be afraid at that time. After doing it, I knew that the gun in the other person's hand was powerful. Oh. Jing Xiaolu was stunned. Originally, I thought that you were very bold. No. Zhou Jiejie's face was red. If I really had to think about it carefully, I'm afraid that even if I wanted to block the bullet, I wouldn't have the courage. Yeah. Jing Xiaolu nodded in agreement. Just now, I asked myself if I would block the bullet for Yang Ming if I were him. At first, I firmly believed that I would. But after a while, I was a little shaken. I was afraid. In fact, we are all the same. Zhou Jie said, if you had this momentary decision and thought at that time, you would have already decided what you wanted to do. How would you still have the mind to be afraid? That's true. Jing Xiaolu nodded. Jie, at first, I misunderstood you. I thought that you didn't want me to learn from your experience with Yang Ming, but now it seems that it won't be so easy for me to find another opportunity to block the bullet for Yang Ming. Nonsense. Zhou Jie said, how would you take the initiative to block the bullet? Xiaolu, let me tell you. Even if there is such an opportunity, don't be stupid. With Yang Ming's skill, we don't need to block the bullet at all. If we go up, we will be making unnecessary sacrifices. Jing Xiaolu certainly wouldn't think that Zhou Jie didn't want her to succeed in being with Yang Ming out of some dark heart. Since she said so, then it must be so. Moreover, Jing Xiaolu was also very familiar with Yang Ming's skill, so she didn't doubt what Zhou Jie said. Moreover, if Zhou Jie really didn't want her to be with Yang Ming, then she wouldn't have this attitude now. How would she sit here calmly and talk to me so much? Jing Xiaolu originally had some disappointment in her eyes, but at this time, there was a flash of hope. At least, my starting point is much better than Zhou Jie's. Yang Ming hated Zhou Jie at the beginning, but she was separated by a mountain, and she could finally dissolve it. What was the thick wall between her and Yang Ming? Chapter 1388. The waiter quickly sent the dishes that had just been ordered into the private room. Li Jixing must have informed the kitchen to process the dishes in Jing Xiaolu's private room first. Otherwise, with the restaurant's popularity at the moment, it was impossible to prepare so many dishes in a short time. Seeing the waiter coming in to serve the dishes, Zhou Jie and Jing Xiaolu also stopped the previous topic. This topic could only be discussed privately between two people. It was not good if outsiders heard it, so both of them tacitly chose to shut up at the same time. Jing Xiaolu's heart was in a mess at the moment. She wanted the waiter to finish serving the dishes quickly so that she could ask about Yang Ming. However, the waiter seemed to be endless. After the dishes were served, the waiter kept bringing dishes into the private room. Jing Xiaolu was surprised and quickly stopped the waiter who was serving the dishes. Wait a minute. Hello, what's the matter? Asked the waiter politely. Although she didn't know what kind of powerful person was sitting in this private room, Li Jixing had already told her that the service must be good, so the waiter didn't dare to have the slightest neglect. It didn't take long for the restaurant owner to call and ask her to make sure that the guests in the private room were satisfied. This time, the waiter was surprised. Why would the restaurant owner call such a small waiter like me? She didn't think that the restaurant owner would save the mobile phone number of a waiter like her. This must be found through the front desk. However, although the waiter was surprised, she didn't dare to have any objections. She quickly assured the boss that she must not neglect the guests. Then, the boss said that he had asked the kitchen to add a few special dishes and asked her to serve first. The boss immediately rushed back from outside. We didn't order so many dishes. We only ordered 4 or 5 special dishes. Why are there 7 dishes? Although Jing Xiaolu didn't remember what dishes she ordered, when the waiter introduced the dishes before, she casually ordered 4 or 5 special dishes here. She still remembered the number clearly. It was impossible for the difference to be so much. Hello, madam. This is our boss's order to give you the special dishes for free, replied the waiter politely. Free? Jing Xiaolu's expression was a little weird after hearing it. We can't eat so much for free. Okay, you tell them not to serve anymore. That's fine. The waitress hesitated for a moment but still nodded. Although the boss had told the kitchen to add a few more dishes, the boss had also told her to serve the guests in the private room well. Since it was a request from a guest in the private room, she decided to give priority to the guest's request. Even if the boss found out later, he wouldn't blame her because everyone's starting point was the same, which was to make the guests in the private room happy. As a matter of fact, her decision was correct and had laid a good foundation for her. A person who could understand the boss's intentions in time and know how to be flexible would be a promising talent no matter where he was. Of course, this place was no exception. After the waiter Xiao Bai left, he quickly instructed the kitchen not to make any more dishes. The kitchen staff thought that it was the boss's idea, so they listened to Xiao Bai and stopped working. Seeing that there were no more dishes, Jing Xiaolu breathed a sigh of relief, but then she looked at the table full of food with a bitter smile. Jia, are you hungry? Let's eat as much as we can. Zhou Jia looked at so many dishes and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Even if I'm hungry, I can't eat so much. Xiaolu, have you encountered any trouble recently? Zhou Jia saw that no waitress came to disturb them again, so she continued the topic with Jing Xiaolu. Previously, when Jing Xiaolu came to the school to find her, she had a worried look on her face as if she had encountered some trouble. What she asked her to do was so strange, so it was inevitable that people would be suspicious. So it was reasonable for Zhou Jia to think so. Jing Xiaolu listened to Zhou Jia's words and sighed. I did encounter some trouble, and it is a big trouble, big trouble. What the hell is going on? Zhou Jia was shocked and looked up at Jing Xiaolu. You tell me and see if I can help. If I didn't guess wrong, the phone recording you asked me to help you recover should be related to this trouble, right? Zhou Jia looked at Jing Xiaolu with some doubts. What kind of trouble can be called a big trouble? In Zhou Jia's view, many troubles were nothing in the eyes of Yang Ming. Even if her father was trapped in this matter, Yang Ming would not show weakness in the face of the Charles family and could easily solve it. What trouble could Jing Xiaolu not solve? You guessed it. Jing Xiaolu looked at Zhou Jia with some surprise and nodded. Yes, this recording is related to this matter. This is a key piece of evidence, but I don't know if it is useful. Xiaolu, what the hell is going on? Zhou Jia listened to Jing Xiaolu's unclear words and was anxious, but she didn't know the reason. This kind of anxious feeling was very uncomfortable. I was deceived. I got into trouble. Jing Xiaolu had a headache when she thought about what she had encountered. The fraud she encountered was unprecedented. She couldn't find similar cases on the internet. Xiaolu, although I didn't hear what you were saying, if you encounter trouble, I think you should talk to Yang Ming first. He should help you solve it. You can't keep it in your heart. Since the last time Yang Ming rescued Zhou Jia's father from the Charles family, Zhou Jia had a blind trust in Yang Ming. She felt that no matter what, as long as Yang Ming made a move, there was nothing that could not be solved. Jing Xiaolu opened her mouth and was about to say something, but there was a knock on the door. Jing Xiaolu frowned. I want to scold someone. Can you let me talk for a while? However, she took a deep breath and didn't get angry in the end. Instead, she said plainly, Who is it? Please come in. The door of the private room was pushed open, and a fat man with a smile walked in. Xiao Bai, the waiter who served in the private room before, and Sister Zhang, the front desk attendant downstairs, followed by him. Vice President Jing, and this beautiful lady, I'm sorry to disturb you. The fat man smiled at Jing Xiaolu and Zhou Jia flatteringly, which extinguished Jing Xiaolu's anger of having her conversation with Zhou Jia interrupted. As the saying goes, don't hit a smiling person. This fat man's smiling face was about to bloom, so Jing Xiaolu naturally couldn't speak ill of him. Moreover, he came at this time with no malice. If Jing Xiaolu guessed correctly, he brought Sister Zhang, the front desk attendant, to apologize to her. Previously, Sister Zhang had some unpleasantness with her because of the private room. Although Jing Xiaolu didn't take it to heart, the restaurant owner didn't treat it as a trivial matter. He brought Sister Zhang to apologize. After all, it was also a kind of humble attitude. Jing Xiaolu had no way to vent her anger on them. I'm the owner of this restaurant. My name is Zhou Huijin. The fat man came over with a smile. Vice President Jing, my sister-in-law's third uncle's eldest sister-in-law offended you before. Please don't take it to heart. So, I brought her to apologize to you. What the hell? Sister-in-law's third uncle's eldest sister-in-law. What kind of messy relationship is this? Jing Xiaolu was directly confused by Zhou Huijin, but she didn't need to understand these relationships. She glanced at Zhou Huijin, then looked at Sister Zhang, and then smiled faintly. It's nothing. I didn't take it to heart. Xiao Bai, pour the wine. Zhou Huijin glanced at the waiter named Xiao Bai next to him and then instructed her. Yes, boss. Xiao Bai respectfully poured 3 glasses of white wine that had been prepared before and brought it to Sister Zhang. Sister Zhang didn't say anything. She picked up the wine glass and raised it in front of Jing Xiaolu. Vice President Jing, I toast to you. Please forgive me. Wait. Jing Xiaolu waved her hand and said to Zhou Huijin and Sister Zhang, sorry, I don't drink. Vice President Jing, you don't have to drink. This is little Zhang's apology to you. Zhou Huijin quickly explained. Jing Xiaolu nodded. When Sister Zhang saw Jing Xiaolu nodding, she quickly poured the white wine in her hand into her stomach. Chapter 1389. After gently closing the door of the private room, Zhou Huijin's smiling face sank. He glared at Sister Zhang, his relative. You. What can I say about you? Okay, you don't have to be the receptionist tomorrow. Go to the purchasing department. You can only deal with those suppliers who come to ask for payment with your face. Okay. Sister Zhang thought that she was destined to be fired this time, but she didn't expect to be assigned to the purchasing department. Although she was now the lobby manager, when she went to the purchasing department, Zhou Huijin's intention was to arrange an ordinary staff position for her. Even so, Sister Zhang was already very happy. As long as she kept this job, she would not starve to death. In fact, Zhou Huijin couldn't help it. His relative was in her 40s. She was laid off from the factory, and she couldn't get a buyout. Her husband also took away her savings. She was left alone to raise a high school child. If she didn't have a job, she couldn't survive. So no matter how much he hated Sister Zhang in his heart, she was still a relative. He couldn't let her fend for herself, right? Just put her in the purchasing department. Her character was not suitable to be a leader at all. If she was an ordinary staff member, she could only show her ugly face to those suppliers. Presumably, those suppliers could only accept it. As for the vacant lobby manager position, Zhou Huijin's eyes turned and stopped on Xiao Bai. Xiao Bai had told Zhou Huijin what happened here before. Initially, Zhou Huijin was a little annoyed by Xiao Bai's unauthorized behavior of stopping the kitchen from serving food. However, when he came back and saw Jing Xiaolu, he really saw that Jing Xiaolu didn't want to be disturbed. When they went in to apologize, although Jing Xiaolu didn't seem to be too impatient, her expression was definitely not very welcoming. Especially when she finally said that she still had something to do and didn't want them to disturb her, it highlighted this point. If they insisted on sending food in, not only would it not please Jing Xiaolu, but it would also make her hate them. Therefore, Zhou Huijin's impression of Xiao Bai suddenly improved. Seeing that she was quite clever, he turned his head and asked, Xiao Bai, right? Are you used to working in the restaurant? President Zhou, I am very used to it. Xiao Bai didn't understand why Zhou Huijin suddenly asked such a question, but she didn't dare to neglect and quickly replied, "It's good here." That's good. Zhou Huijin nodded. How about this? You will take over little Zhang's position tomorrow. You will be the lobby manager. Ah. Me? Xiao Bai opened his mouth wide in shock and looked at Zhou Huijin in disbelief. Director Zhou, I'm just a waiter. Although Xiao Bai felt that as long as she worked hard, she would be noticed by the boss sooner or later and be put in an important position, but she didn't expect it to be so fast. She also didn't expect that she would be put in the position of lobby manager directly. Xiao Bai originally thought that if she did a good job as a waiter, she would at most be a vice foreman. If she was good, she would be able to become a foreman. However, she did not expect to be promoted to a lobby manager. That was a level higher than a foreman. What's wrong with the waitress? Zhou Huijin didn't think much of it. I see that you're quite smart and flexible. If you're in this position, I'm relieved. Do your best, and I'll get someone to make you a costume later. Yes, General Manager Zhou. Xiao Bai was extremely excited and nodded happily. Jing Xiaolu, who was in the room, watched Zhou Huijin go out and close the door. Then, she breathed a sigh of relief. These people really came at the wrong time. Aren't they causing trouble? Hee, Xiaolu, don't be ungrateful. If it were an ordinary guest, this manager wouldn't take the initiative to apologize. Zhou Jiejie said with a smile, this also shows your identity and status. If it were me, I would most likely go to the hall to eat. How could I get a private room? The more Zhou Jiejie said this, the more uncomfortable Jing Xiaolu felt. She blushed and said, Jiejie, don't say this. All of this is actually because of Yang Ming. If it weren't for Yang Ming's company, who would other people know who I am? Zhou Jiejie listened to Jing Xiaolu's words and didn't argue because what Jing Xiaolu said was indeed the truth. She smiled slightly and said, so, sometimes when you encounter trouble, you don't have to bear it yourself. You have to know how to take advantage of others. Take advantage of others. Jing Xiaolu repeated Zhou Jiejie's words. Yes, it's taking advantage of others. Zhou Jiejie said, let's continue our topic. This matter may be a trouble and a disaster for you, but for Yang Ming, it may be a piece of cake. Jiejie, Jing Xiaolu smiled bitterly. My situation is actually different from what you said. I can't ask Yang Ming for help, and I can't. What's the reason? Zhou Jiejie was puzzled. Jiejie, I won't hide it from you. A while ago, I was busy talking about a business cooperation. This was the first business cooperation I was responsible for after I was promoted to vice president, so I couldn't be more careful. I put all my energy into it, said Jing Xiaolu. Jing Xiaolu said, since I am sitting in the position of vice president due to a strange combination of circumstances, I have to show some results. I want to prove to Yang Ming that I, Jing Xiaolu, am not here to dawdle, but to be a person who can help his career. Zhou Jiejie listened to Jing Xiaolu's words and nodded. Yes, not only did Jing Xiaolu have this idea, but even Zhou Jiejie herself had it. The reason why she went into the tiger's den to find evidence of Wang Jidao's family's crime was to help Yang Ming. She wanted to be a woman who was useful to Yang Ming and help him in his life and career, so she understood Jing Xiaolu's idea. After Jing Xiaolu explained this, Zhou Jiejie gradually understood why Jing Xiaolu was unwilling to ask for help from Yang Ming. So, you want to solve this problem on your own so that he can see your ability, right? Asked Zhou Jiejie. Yes. Jing Xiaolu nodded, but she looked a little dispirited. Even if I am so careful, there is still a problem with this cooperation. I fell into the other party's contract trap. If I ask Yang Ming for help at this time, will Yang Ming think that I am useless? Zhou Jie sighed softly. Although she felt that maybe Yang Ming would not think so much, if she were Jing Xiaolu, she might not want to trouble Yang Ming because of this matter. She would want to solve it herself. This was different from her father being trapped in the Charles family. Her father was trapped because she could not solve it with her own strength, so she had to trouble Yang Ming. However, Jing Xiaolu's matter was entirely because she fell into the other party's trap due to carelessness in the business cooperation. It was reasonable for Jing Xiaolu to want to solve it by herself. Zhou Jie knew that it was useless to persuade her. She could only help her in other ways. Xiaolu, tell me the ins and outs of this matter. Let's see if I can help you. Okay. Even if Zhou Jie didn't ask, Jing Xiaolu was prepared to tell her everything. This matter had always been in her heart, and it was like a thorn pricking her nerves. Perhaps she would feel better if she confided it to someone. She had seen Zhou Jie's cleverness. If Zhou Jie could help her analyze it, it would be a good thing. So, Jing Xiaolu pondered for a while, organized her own words, and began to talk about her experience. Chapter 1390. Jing Xiaolu did not hide anything from Zhou Jie. Instead, she talked about how she had a grudge with Lu Jifei. Although this history was not glorious, Jing Xiaolu did not want to lie to Zhou Jie. After all, they might become sisters in the future. Therefore, if Jing Xiaolu lied at this time, Zhou Jie would definitely look down on her when she knew the truth. Moreover, although this history was not glorious, it was not too outrageous. At least, she still maintained the bottom line and did not really sell her body. She believed that Zhou Jie could also understand her difficult situation. Sure enough, after Zhou Jie listened to Jing Xiaolu's words, she did not show much disgust in her expression. Instead, there was a dumbfounded expression. Obviously, she sympathized with Jing Xiaolu at that time, but she did not comment on what Jing Xiaolu did. Jie, do you think that I was a bad girl in the past? Although Jing Xiaolu saw that there was no look of contempt in Zhou Jie's expression, she was still worried and asked. Bad girl? That's not really true. It's not easy for you to be able to keep yourself clean in that kind of situation. Zhou Jie sighed and shook her head. But I don't agree with what you did. No matter what, it is illegal. But, you are a girl alone. It is not easy for you to make money to support your family without any background or backing. Although Zhou Jie did not agree with Jing Xiaolu's way of cheating people, she also knew that Jing Xiaolu would not do this if she had other ways to make a living. Everything she did was completely out of helplessness. Jing Xiaolu listened to Zhou Jie and felt a lot better in her heart. She did not expect Zhou Jie to agree with her previous practice. If Zhou Jie said that she agreed with what Jing Xiaolu did, then Jing Xiaolu would not believe it. Because that was too ridiculous, right? Now, although Zhou Jie did not agree, she also realized her helplessness, so Jing Xiaolu was very grateful to Zhou Jie. At least, Zhou Jie did not dislike her in her heart. Jing Xiaolu nodded. Jie, thank you for understanding me. Not only me, but I believe that Yang Ming also understands you. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to become good friends with you and help you out when Lu Jifei found trouble with you. Zhou Jie smiled. Since Yang Ming didn't mind, what else did he have to mind? Moreover, Zhou Jie's character was still somewhat conservative. She believed that a woman should be faithful to one man. Since Jing Xiaolu could maintain her chastity, Zhou Jie naturally wouldn't have any opinions about her. However, if Jing Xiaolu had a relationship with another man before, Zhou Jie's attitude might not be as good as it was now. She didn't want Yang Ming to touch her after touching such a woman. Then I'll continue to talk about the contract. Jing Xiaolu said, In fact, this contract trap is the result of Lu Jifei's revenge. I guess that it should have something to do with him. Otherwise, you wouldn't have spent so much time talking about the grievances between you and him. Zhou Jijia nodded. Jing Xiaolu sighed at Zhou Jijia's cleverness, but it was no wonder. If this matter had nothing to do with Lu Jifei, why did she have to spend so much time talking about it? Jing Xiaolu told Zhou Jijia in detail about how she fell into the contract trap. When she talked about the incense, Zhou Jijia couldn't help but be surprised. There is actually such a thing. Yeah, if I had thought about it earlier, I wouldn't have fallen into this contract trap. However, this kind of contract fraud technique is unheard of. Whether it is on the internet or elsewhere, I can't find a similar case. So, I was fooled unknowingly. Jing Xiaolu sighed. If this is the case, then it's not your fault. Zhou Jijia waved her hand. This kind of thing only appears in novels. Who would have thought that it would exist in reality? I think that even if it were anyone else, it would be impossible to guard against it. After listening to Zhou Jijia's words, Jing Xiaolu's heart was relieved. In fact, how could Jing Xiaolu not understand this truth? It was not wrong for her to fall into this kind of unheard of method. As Zhou Jijia said, this kind of method was impossible for anyone to guard against. Su Xiaobin and the Lu family have already discussed it, but the negotiation failed. The Jiangyan group does not intend to change the contract. Jing Xiaolu said helplessly. In this case, if they continue to cooperate, what benefits will it bring to the Jiangyan group? Could it be that their president's brain is flooded with water? Zhou Jijia frowned and said, I think it is impossible for them not to see it. If they cooperate in this situation where both sides are hostile, what is the use of a contract? I am also wondering about this. Jing Xiaolu smiled bitterly. However, according to Su Xiaobin, the Lu family is worried that once there is a precedent of changing the contract, there will be more people looking for the Jiangyan group to change the contract. So, they will not set this precedent. They would rather continue like this. This doesn't seem to be comparable to an ordinary contract, right? Zhou Jijia said, they are completely different in nature. I am also very skeptical, but now the Jiangyan group clearly wants to favor Lu Jifei, said Jing Xiaolu. So, the only thing I can think of is to go through legal procedures. I can only fight to change the contract through legal means. The previous cell phone recording is the evidence you collected, right? Asked Zhou Jijia after listening. Yes, thank you, Jijia. Jing Xiaolu had thanked her more than once, but if it weren't for Zhou Jijia, there might not be this evidence. Don't be so polite to me in the future. Zhou Jijia waved her hand. If you are really with Yang Ming, we are family. Moreover, I am helping you now, which is equivalent to helping Yang Ming. After all, this is a company matter. Jing Xiaolu looked at Zhou Jijia with some surprise. She didn't expect her to say such a thing. For a while, Jing Xiaolu was excited. Zhou Jijia, did you accept me? Jing Xiaolu's beautiful eyes flashed with a hint of surprise and joy. Although Zhou Jijia's weight was obviously not as important as Chen Mingyan's, at least, she was the first woman to show support for her Yang Ming. It was significant. Jing Xiaolu also took the first step to success. In any case, with Zhou Jijia as a supporter to give advice and pass the message, she was in an invincible position. But immediately, this joy was diluted by the endless sorrow in her heart. In front of her, there was still a difficulty that had not been overcome. If the contract was not dealt with properly, it was meaningless to talk about other things. AI. Jing Xiaolu sighed softly. If it were other times, she might have screamed ecstatically when she heard what Zhou Jijia said to her. But now, she couldn't be happy. Xiaolu, is there any other evidence in your hands besides this cell phone recording? Asked Zhou Jijia. Other than that. Jing Xiaolu hesitated, and a hint of sadness flashed in her eyes. Other than that, there is nothing else. Jie, you also know that the other party's behavior is too strange. In this case, it is difficult to find any key evidence unconsciously. Since this is the case. Zhou Jie frowned after listening. Xiaolu, you have to be mentally prepared. I'm not pouring cold water on you, but this evidence is not key evidence at all. If you use this evidence to sue Lu Jifei for raping Wang Lixia, you may still win. But if you use it as the basis for changing the contract, it is a bit far-fetched. Jie, I actually understand what you said, but now, it seems that I really don't have any other trump cards in hand. Jing Xiaolu smiled bitterly. How could she not understand what Zhou Jie said? The odds of winning this time were very small, even if the Mingyang Security Company's social relations in Songjiang were very strong, and the Mingyang Security Company was a company affiliated with the police station. With this relationship, it could be said that Jing Xiaolu was not afraid of a lawsuit in Songjiang. But even with such a strong network, if she did not have strong evidence in her hands, it would be difficult to win this lawsuit. Thinking of this, Jing Xiaolu was a little discouraged. Am I really going to lose this time? Chapter 1391. Xiaolu, don't be discouraged. Zhou Jie saw a flash of decadence on Jing Xiaolu's face. She was afraid that Jing Xiaolu would be discouraged, so she quickly persuaded, think about the whole signing process again. See if there are any details that can be used as key evidence. Details that can be used as key evidence that were ignored. Jing Xiaolu's eyes lit up and then dimmed again. Jie, I have thought about this signing process many times, but, although Jing Xiaolu didn't finish her words, Zhou Jie could also understand that there was nothing that could be used as evidence. However, Zhou Jie wasn't discouraged. Instead, she said, Xiaolu, although I don't know much about these business contracts, there are many things that can be thought through. Let's take my computer hacking skills as an example. No matter how good a hacker is, when they commit a crime, they will more or less leave some clues that can be used as evidence. Even if they are erased, in the eyes of hackers of the same level, there are still traces to be found. Although most of them are very difficult to investigate, it does not mean that there are no traces of crime. Oh. Jing Xiaolu listened to Zhou Jie's words and became a little interested. There was a flash of light in her mind. She seemed to have thought of something, but this idea was very vague, and she could not grasp it for the time being. Of course, I am just giving an example. Any crime will leave traces. I believe that the contract trap you encountered is no exception. Zhou Jie said, I don't believe that Lu Jifei is a criminal master. I think he thought of this contract fraud on the spur of the moment. It's just that the criminal technique is too strange, so we can't find a breakthrough with ordinary means. But if you pay attention, you may find something. After Jing Xiaolu listened to Zhou Jie's words, she couldn't help but fall into contemplation. She wanted to grasp the previous flash of inspiration, but it was somewhat vague. After a long while, Jing Xiaolu finally shook her head slightly. Indeed, any crime will leave traces, but I was one step too late. When I found out that something was wrong with the contract, I rushed to the conference room of the Huihai Business Club where the contract was signed. Everything there had been cleaned up by Lu Jifei's people. Even the windows were opened. The residual smell of incense in the conference room was completely removed. There was no trace at all. Nothing was left behind in the meeting room. There is nothing, but not necessarily. Zhou Jie lowered her head and thought for a moment. Isn't there still the fake contract that was changed? Isn't the contract in our hands? The contract. That's right, the contract. Jing Xiaolu patted her smooth forehead. She finally caught the glimmer of light from before. That's right. What she thought of before was the contract. There seemed to be a voice in the dark telling him that this contract would be the key to victory or defeat this time. It would become his final trump card. Contract. Jing Xiaolu's voice was a little surprised. Jia, thank you. Xiaolu, have you thought of a solution? Seeing Jing Xiaolu's happy expression, Zhou Jia was a little stunned. She thought that Jing Xiaolu had found a breakthrough, so she quickly asked. Not yet. Jing Xiaolu shook her head. Although she hadn't thought of how to use the contract, she had a firm belief in her heart. Zhou Jia was right. Any crime would leave traces. Whether she could find this key trace depended on this move. But I have a feeling that this contract will be the breakthrough of this matter. That's good. Seeing that Jing Xiaolu had regained her confidence, Zhou Jia was happy for her from the bottom of her heart. She was really afraid that Jing Xiaolu would give up on herself. Jia, I have to go back. I want to take a good look at the contract. Let's eat here first. When the matter is solved, I will treat you to a big meal. How about it? Jing Xiaolu couldn't wait to go back to the company. Her confidence had never been so full. She firmly believed that she would be able to find something this time. Okay. Zhou Jiajia's appetite was not big. In fact, she had almost eaten when they were chatting before. She also knew that Jing Xiaolu must be focused on the contract now. She had no time to continue eating, so she did not stop her. Next time, I will treat you. I can't always let you treat me, right? That's good. It's a deal. Jing Xiaolu did not refuse. In fact, it did not matter who was treating between her and Zhou Jia. Both of them were not short of money now. Eating together was nothing more than promoting the relationship between both parties. Jing Xiaolu naturally would not be entangled in these small details. Zhou Huijian did not expect Jing Xiaolu and Zhou Jia to finish eating so quickly. Jing Xiaolu just said that she had something to talk about. Zhou Huijian thought that Jing Xiaolu and Zhou Jia would talk for a few hours, but they walked out of the private room in less than half an hour. President Zhou, how much is it in total? Jing Xiaolu saw Zhou Huijian standing in the lobby, so she opened her bag and took out the voucher. Vice President Jing, you. Is there anything you are not satisfied with? When Zhou Huijian saw that Jing Xiaolu finished eating so quickly, he thought that she was dissatisfied with the restaurant. When he saw that she wanted to pay the bill, he was even more in fear and trepidation. His previous attitude had already made it clear that this meal was his treat. There was no need for Jing Xiaolu to spend money, but now Jing Xiaolu wanted to pay the bill. What did this mean? Jing Xiaolu was slightly stunned by Zhou Huijian's words, then she asked, President Zhou, why do you say this? I am already very satisfied with your service. Is there anything I am dissatisfied with? Then, you are leaving so soon, and you want to pay the bill. Zhou Huijian saw Jing Xiaolu's stunned look. It did not seem to be fake, so he felt a little strange. Ah. Jing Xiaolu raised her eyebrows, and her face suddenly showed a very strange look. She was a little dumbfounded. President Zhou, this mealtime is decided by the guests themselves, right? I eat quickly, so I naturally leave quickly. As for the bill, it seems to be natural to pay the bill after the meal, right? Do you want to eat and dash? What Jing Xiaolu said was the normal truth. How could Zhou Huijian not understand it? But at this time and place, Jing Xiaolu's normal approach made Zhou Huijian think that Jing Xiaolu was dissatisfied with him. Vice President Jing, so, you are really not angry. Although Zhou Huijian saw that Jing Xiaolu's face did not have the slightest anger, he still asked with concern. Why would I be angry? Jing Xiaolu looked at Zhou Huijian helplessly. President Zhou, I just came here to have a meal. I have to go back to the company. Did you misunderstand something? At this point, Zhou Huijin was completely relieved that Jing Xiaolu really did not have any dissatisfaction with the hotel, so he said, Vice President Jing, I'm sorry. Blame me for thinking too much. Then, as an apology, I will treat you to this meal. It was no wonder that Zhou Huijin would be like this. Before he opened this restaurant, he opened a Cantonese restaurant in Mount Jing. He was a southerner who did business in the north. He had no backer and foundation. He could expand his business entirely by his own efforts and diligence. However, because of a small matter, he offended the local tyrant of Mount Jing, the Sui family. He thought it was a trivial matter, so Zhou Huijin did not take it to heart after he apologized. As a result, trouble came one after another. First, the supplier who had worked with him for many years refused to pay on credit. He had to pay in cash. This was nothing. With Zhou Huijin's current strength, he did not lack this money. However, there were some officials who came to the store every day to check. Although Zhou Huijin had already bribed them before, these people still came to the store at this moment to pick and choose. Fortunately, Zhou Huijin's store did not have any major problems, so these people could not find any flaws. After 13 rounds of trouble, they all left. Chapter 1392. However, this was just a prelude. It was nothing. The big trouble was still to come. These were all normal means, so Zhou Huijin couldn't find any reason. After all, whether it was the raw material supplier's request to settle the payment first or someone investigating the hygiene situation in the store, these were all within the normal range. But what happened next was beyond the normal range. Every day, a group of migrant workers came to the store and filled the hall. Each person asked for a cold dish and began to drink beer. A bottle of beer and a plate of cold dishes were drunk from the opening of the restaurant in the morning to the closing time in the evening. Even if the hall was only filled, the private rooms were empty. However, many people who came to the restaurant to eat directly turned around and left when they saw this situation. No matter how Zhou Huijin explained, the customers no longer came. It couldn't be helped. Zhou Huijin could only persuade these men to stop eating here. After all, they came to eat. Although they ate less and took a long time, it was not illegal. Zhou Huijin really couldn't do anything to them. He could only beg for mercy. In fact, Zhou Huijin also faintly understood that these people had the Sui family behind them, but it couldn't be helped. The Sui family had a big business in Mount Jing. Zhou Huijin, an outsider, couldn't afford to offend them. Under good persuasion, these migrant workers finally spilled the truth. They came here to work because they were hired. They didn't need to work and get paid. They could make money just by sitting for a whole day. Who didn't want to do this kind of work? In desperation, Zhou Huijin had to find the Sui family's people to intercede. He didn't expect that just because he offended the second generation of the Sui family, it would cause such a big trouble. However, the Sui family's people didn't let go at all. They obviously wanted to kill Zhou Huijin. Provoking the Sui family's prestige in Mount Jing made the Sui family have the intention of killing the chicken to scare the monkey. So, no matter what Zhou Huijin said, they didn't change their original intention. Zhou Huijin couldn't be helped. He had to end the restaurant's business, sell the house, and leave Mount Jing. This matter ended with the Sui family's victory. Zhou Huijin left Mount Jing sadly and opened the restaurant in Songjiang. Zhou Huijin inquired in advance. This place was not under the Sui family's sphere of influence. This was Bao Sanli's territory, so Zhou Huijin was relieved to reopen the restaurant here. Moreover, in order to prevent the recurrence of the tragedy, as soon as Zhou Huijin's restaurant opened, he went to the Mingyang Security Company. Zhou Hua. Although the Mingyang Security Company was a big company, they might not be interested in his vouchers. In fact, no senior executive of the Mingyang Security Company had taken these vouchers to the restaurant for a long time. This made Zhou Huijin slightly disappointed. However, Zhou Huijin felt that as long as he tirelessly delivered vouchers every now and then, even though it wasn't enough to make people look at him in a different light, at least he could get familiar with him. This voucher was not worth a lot of money, but it was not a bad thing to be too polite. Zhou Huijin was a person who had suffered a big loss in Mount Jing's Sui family. As the saying goes, you learn from your mistakes. For the big forces in these cities, Zhou Huijin didn't dare to neglect. Otherwise, if he repeated the same mistake, he wouldn't even know how he died. However, before Zhou Huijin came to Songjiang to do business, he also inquired and understood a few of Songjiang's local friends who had a good relationship with him. He knew the background and reputation of the Mingyang Security Company very well. The boss of the Mingyang Bao, an industrial company, Bao Sanli, used to be a big gangster in Songjiang. However, he later turned over a new leaf and engaged in a proper industry, establishing this Mingyang Security Industrial Company. However, this person's influence in Songjiang's underworld was quite shocking. If one wanted to do business here in Songjiang, it was impossible to offend Bao Sanli. However, the reputation of the Mingyang Security Company was exceptionally good. He learned from a few business friends that although the fees of this Mingyang Security Company were more expensive than other small security companies, it was indeed worth it. The bosses of the entertainment industry in Songjiang City had a bill in their hearts. Although the cost of the security personnel hired by the Mingyang Security Company was higher than the ordinary scattered security personnel, once there was a problem, they would really solve it for you. Before the Mingyang Security Company security personnel were hired, these entertainment industry bosses also recruited some security personnel themselves. The salary was indeed low, but these people were typical masters who bullied the weak and feared the strong. Usually, when they saw the weak, they dared to say a few words. If they really encountered the gangsters, they immediately became timid and hid in the side and didn't dare to make a sound. After changing to the Mingyang Security Company security personnel, this situation was gone. As long as it was a small gangster in Songjiang, no one dared to make trouble in front of the Mingyang Security Company's people. As long as the Mingyang Security Company's people were present, no matter how fierce they would immediately be honest. Therefore, the amount of money needed to hire security guards was negligible. If it weren't for these people, the gangsters would have destroyed more than this amount of things. Chapter 1393. Little White, give another 1,000 yuan of vouchers to Vice President Jing. Zhou Huijin instructed Little White. Little White did not doubt it at all. He opened the drawer, took out 10 vouchers, and handed them to Jing Xiaolu together with the previous bill. Vice President Jing, this is your bill and vouchers. Give me another 1,000. Jing Xiaolu looked at the vouchers handed over by Little White and suddenly didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I just ate 300 yuan worth of food, and what I spent was also the vouchers. Now, he gave me another 1,000 yuan of vouchers. The more I eat, the more I get. Jing Xiaolu felt a little funny when she thought about it. Vice President Jing, don't misunderstand. I am not forcing you to eat. I just think that it is our honor that you can come to the restaurant to eat. Your presence brings light to our humble dwelling. Zhou Huijin quickly explained, Vice President Jing, just take it. You won't look down on me, right? President Zhou, you. Jing Xiaolu shook her head helplessly and had to accept it, but she still said, President Zhou, I will remember your enthusiasm. Let's do it this way. I will leave you a business card. If there is anything, you can contact me at any time. Okay. Zhou Huijin was overjoyed after hearing Jing Xiaolu's words. He was so excited that his tone changed. He took the business card that Jing Xiaolu handed over with trembling hands and carefully put it in his jacket pocket. He also handed over his business card with both hands. Vice President Jing, although there are very few places that you can use me for, I will definitely do everything for your relatives and friends, such as a gathering, a wedding banquet, or a meal delivery during the New Year's festival. Then I may really need to trouble President Zhou in the future. Jing Xiaolu smiled and nodded to Zhou Huijin kindly. At this point, Zhou Huijin breathed a sigh of relief in his heart. It seemed that what he had done before finally had an effect. Jing Xiaolu not only did not hate him because of Sister Zhang's previous matter, but she also had a relationship with him. Of course, although Jing Xiaolu was beautiful, Zhou Huijin did not dare to have any improper thoughts. He did not dare to touch this kind of woman. If he had time, he should go home and touch his sister-in-law. Although it was a far cry from Jing Xiaolu, Zhou Huijin was already very satisfied. Right, Vice President Jing, my brother opened a resort in Donghai. You can fish in the summer and ski in the winter. If your company wants to organize a fellowship party or something, I can help to contact you. Zhou Huijin hesitated and said, in terms of cost and service, it will definitely be the best. Zhou Huijin also knew that if he said that he didn't want money, Jing Xiaolu would definitely not agree. From the previous matter, it could be seen that Jing Xiaolu was not willing to take this kind of small advantage, especially in the company's matters. There was no need to take this kind of advantage and owe a favor. As long as the price was good and the service was good, she could win the favor of others. Alright, if we have any requests in this regard, we will definitely contact you, Director Zhou. Jing Xiaolu nodded. General Manager Zhou, I still have something to do, so I'll leave first. Let's talk some other time. Okay, Vice President Jing, I will send you off. Zhou Huijin said quickly and accompanied Jing Xiaolu out of the restaurant. After getting in the car, Jing Xiaolu smiled bitterly and breathed a sigh of relief. Jie, you also saw that these are brought about by Yang Ming's power. If I don't work hard, the gap between him and me will get bigger and bigger. That's true. Then I wish you to solve the trouble in front of you as soon as possible. Zhou Jie said, Xiaolu, you quickly go back to the company and think about the contract. I will take a taxi back to school. Don't. I will send you off. Jing Xiaolu grabbed Zhou Jie, who was about to get out of the car. It's so late. How can I let you take a taxi back? If something happens to you, Yang Ming will kill me. No need. When the time comes, you can compensate Yang Ming with yourself. 1 for 1. I believe he will accept it. Zhou Jie teased. Come on. I know what position I have in his heart. Jing Xiaolu shook her head and started the car. After sending Zhou Jie back to school, Jing Xiaolu did not stay. Instead, she quickly drove to the company alone. Jing Xiaolu wanted to seize the opportunity while she had the inspiration in her mind. Maybe she could really find something. When she came to the company, she unexpectedly found that Bao Sanli had not left. His office was still lit. When she passed by, Jing Xiaolu knocked on the door. After hearing Bao Sanli's, "Please come in," she pushed the door open. She saw that not only did Bao Sanli not leave, but Ho Xinhan was also here. The two people were sitting in front of the sofa, looking at several documents on the coffee table. President Bao, President Ho, you are all here. After Jing Xiaolu entered the door, she nodded to the two of them. Xiaolu, why did you come to the company again? Bao Sanli was a bit baffled. I am studying the contract with Old Ho to see how we can fight back against the Jiangyan group. I'm sorry, President Bao. This is all my fault. Hearing that the two of them were still studying the contract so late at night, Jing Xiaolu was a little embarrassed. How can I blame you for this? Bao Sanli waved his hand and smiled bitterly. This contract was signed under my nose. If you want to blame someone, you can only blame me for not closing it properly. It has nothing to do with you. President Bao, that contract, is it in your hands? Asked Jing Xiaolu. Do you mean the original or the copy? The original is locked in my safe. The copies are all on the coffee table. You can just take one. Bao Sanli pointed to the documents on the table. Jing Xiaolu nodded. At this time, there was not much difference between the original and the copy. Jing Xiaolu took a copy, sat on the opposite sofa, and read it carefully. This was a contract that she had read more than 100 times. It was impossible to find any loopholes in it. She believed that Bao Sanli and Hou Zhenhan had also tried. If there was something wrong, the three of them would not be here with a sad face. After Jing Xiaolu read the contract in her hand, she gave up the idea of continuing to read it. This was useless. Even if she did it 100 times, she could not find any flaws in it. If you want to find something unexpected, you can't start from an ordinary point of view. Any crime would leave traces. Lu Luyo secretly changed the contract midway, so he would definitely leave some traces. Jing Xiaolu closed her eyes and carefully recalled the details of Lu Luyo's change of contract. The contract that Wang Hongqia and I got for the first time must be the real contract. There was no problem after reading it. These few data that I and Wang Hongqia paid attention to were imprinted in my and Wang Hongqia's minds under the effect of the incense. Lu Luyo took the contract and signed it for Su Xiaobin. Then Su Xiaobin stamped the contract and finally handed it back to her. However, in this process, Lu Luyo had an opportunity to turn his back to her, and only this opportunity could secretly change the contract. She believed that Lu Luyo must have replaced the inner page of the contract that Su Xiaobin had signed with the modified inner page prepared in advance. Because the last page had Su Xiaobin's signature, this page could not be replaced. Lu Luyo only replaced the content in the middle. After the replacement, he stamped the contract seal. Although she had doubts at the time, under the effect of the incense, she did not see any flaws in the contract that was obviously tampered with. Wang Hongqia was the same, so she signed and stamped in confusion. After that, she handed the contract back to Su Xiaobin. Before Su Xiaobin could get it, Lu Luyo snatched it. Right. Jing Xiaolu's eyes suddenly lit up. Chapter 1394. At this moment, Jing Xiaolu had a feeling that she couldn't help but want to shout out loud. In her heart, an unprecedented sense of comfort immediately filled her whole body. Her previous helplessness was replaced by a touch of joy. She said to Bao Sanli excitedly, "President Bao, where is the original copy of the contract?" "Original copy, why are you?" Bao Sanli looked up and saw the joy in Jing Xiaolu's eyes. His heart moved. Could it be that Jing Xiaolu has thought of a breakthrough? Thinking of this possibility, Bao Sanli's breathing became rapid. "Xiaolu, have you thought of a way to deal with the Jiangyan group?" "It's just a preliminary guess. Whether it is useful or not, it needs to be confirmed." Jing Xiaolu raised her eyebrows beautifully. Although she was not very sure, her words were full of confidence. Hou Zhenhan and Bao Sanli looked at each other and saw a hint of surprise in each other's eyes. The two people had been discussing here for an afternoon, but there was no progress. Jing Xiaolu found a solution so quickly. The contract in their hands had been studied more than 100 times. During this time, they had also consulted several legal experts in addition to Wang Hongqia. The conclusion they got was that there were no loopholes in the contract. It was almost impossible to make an issue out of the contract. However, Jing Xiaolu saw some clues in it. This shocked the two people. However, in addition to the shock, there were some doubts. In fact, from the bottom of their hearts, they did not believe that Jing Xiaolu found anything so quickly. After all, so many experts did not find anything. How could Jing Xiaolu find anything? Moreover, for Jing Xiaolu, the vice president, they were very clear in their hearts. It was entirely because of her relationship with Yang Ming. Moreover, because Lu Chan and Chu Daming absconded with the funds, the position of vice president was vacated. Jing Xiaolu could be promoted smoothly. As for how capable Jing Xiaolu was, Bao Sanli didn't believe it himself. It wasn't that he looked down on Jing Xiaolu, but even if Jing Xiaolu was talented, she was just a 20-year-old college student. Just from looking at their age, they were somewhat inexperienced. However, it didn't mean that they couldn't achieve anything at a young age. In those large families, many young masters and young mistresses in their teens and 20s would be placed in important positions. However, there was a fundamental difference between them and Jing Xiaolu. The reason why these children of big families could be entrusted with important tasks at the age of 20 was because they were nurtured as talents since childhood. They heard about it from a young age and grew up unknowingly. But Jing Xiaolu was different. She had been working in the company for less than a year. No matter how one looked at it, it was impossible to compare with those young masters and young ladies from big families. The original copy of the contract is in the safe here. Shall I get it for you now? In any case, whether Jing Xiaolu had thought of a solution or not, Bao Sanli did not dare to neglect. It was good to have a glimmer of hope at this moment. No need. Jing Xiaolu waved her hand. It's useless to take it out now. President Bao, do you still need to be involved in this matter? Me? Little Jade, what's going on? Can you tell me in detail? Bao Sanli was confused by Jing Xiaolu's words and looked at her with some puzzlement. Oh, yes. Jing Xiaolu touched her forehead and smiled apologetically. I haven't told you the key to solving the problem. I was too anxious, so I neglected this. Bao Sanli nodded slightly. It seems that Jing Xiaolu really thought of a solution, but I don't know if it will work. President Bao, it's like this. Jing Xiaolu hesitated and said, let me tell you first. This morning, the whole process of us signing the contract, President Ho did not personally experience it, and there may be some details that you did not notice, okay? Bao Sanli nodded. Although he did not understand why Jing Xiaolu had to repeat the signing process, his intuition told him that Jing Xiaolu would definitely not be inexplicably speaking without thinking. There must be a reason for saying this. That is, the signing process may have some subtle connection with the solution. President Bao, President Ho, what happened at that time was like this. Jing Xiaolu said slowly, after both of us sat down, the people of the Jiangyan group printed 2 contracts that we had drafted in advance. They were handed over to me, Su Xiaobin, Lu Luo, and Wang Hongqia for review. After the review, Su Xiaobin and we signed the contracts separately. Then Lu Luo took the contract and stamped the contract special seal on it. After stamping the contract special seal, he handed the contract back to me. However, in the process of stamping the contract special seal, Lu Luo had an opportunity to turn his back to us. Only this opportunity could he secretly change the contract. I believe that Lu Luo must have replaced the inner page of the contract signed by Su Xiaobin with a modified inner page prepared in advance. Because the last page had Su Xiaobin's signature, this page could not be replaced. Lu Luo only replaced the content in the middle. After the replacement, he stamped the contract special seal. Although I had doubts at the time, under the influence of the incense, I did not see any flaws in the contract that was obviously tampered with. Wang Hongqia was the same, so we signed and stamped it in confusion. After we stamped it, we were ready to hand the contract back to Su Xiaobin. At that time, Su Xiaobin had not yet gotten it, but Lu Luo snatched it. This is the whole process of our signing. I don't know if President Bao found anything from it. What did you find? After Bao Sanli and Wang Zhenhan listened, they both frowned at the same time. The two looked at each other helplessly. Although this signing process was narrated by Jing Xiaolu, it had been narrated by Wang Hongqia many times before this. Xiaolu, you said it very carefully, but we didn't find anything wrong. Even if we know that Lu Luyo secretly changed the contract behind our backs, what can we do? We don't have evidence. All this is speculation. President Bao, what I mean by finding something is not the step where Lu Luyo turned around and secretly changed the contract. Jing Xiaolu smiled slightly. This key point is in the last step of this signing process. After we stamped the contract with the special seal, we handed the contract back to Su Xiaobin. Before Su Xiaobin could get it, Lu Luyo snatched it. What does this mean? Lu Luyo snatched the contract probably because Lu Jifei did this behind Su Xiaobin's back. Since the contract was changed, Lu Luyo was also afraid that Su Xiaobin would see any flaws on the spot after taking the contract, so he snatched the contract first. This doesn't mean anything. It only means that Su Xiaobin didn't lie to us. He didn't know before, and he was also tricked by Lu Jifei. Yes. Lu Luyo snatched the contract because he was afraid that Su Xiaobin would see the contents of the contract. It also proves that Su Xiaobin didn't see the changed contract. Jing Xiaolu nodded and said with bright eyes. Bao Sanli and Hou Zhenhan looked at Jing Xiaolu, who was full of confidence. They didn't understand why she was so confident, but the two of them didn't find anything unusual in these things that Jing Xiaolu said. Su Xiaobin was innocent. This point could be confirmed through their own arguments. Otherwise, even if Su Xiaobin participated, he didn't need to deny it. After all, the contract had been signed like this. It had reached the point of shedding all pretense of cordiality. It didn't matter whether Su Xiaobin admitted it or not. Since he still denied this at this moment and helped to deal with it in the middle, it could only mean that Su Xiaobin really didn't know before, and he was also tricked by Lu Jifei. Xiaolu, forgive me and old Ho's IQ for not being able to keep up. Bao Sanli smiled bitterly. Why didn't the two of us feel that Su Xiaobin's attitude helped solve the whole thing? Chapter 1395. Jing Xiaolu shook her head. It was not that she deliberately kept them in suspense. The reason why she described the signing process in such detail was that the solution she was going to talk about was directly related to this signing process. President Bao, President Ho, don't worry. Listen to me. Jing Xiaolu said calmly, since we can be sure that Su Xiaobin is innocent, then the whole thing has become simple. In other words, Su Xiaobin has not seen the page number of the contract that was replaced by Lu Luyo. This is for sure. Bao Sanli nodded in agreement. That's right. Jing Xiaolu's tone couldn't suppress her excitement. Since Su Xiaobin has not seen this page, then there are no fingerprints of Su Xiaobin on this page. If Su Xiaobin's fingerprints are on the other page numbers, but Su Xiaobin's fingerprints are not on this problematic page, what does this mean? Yeah. Hou Zhenhan listened to Jing Xiaolu's analysis and suddenly exclaimed, Xiaolu, I didn't expect you to even think of this. Indeed, Su Xiaobin's fingerprints are on the other page numbers, but not on this problematic page. This can't help but show that there is a problem with this page. At this moment, Bao Sanli also nodded in realization, yeah. Why didn't I think of it? In this way, as long as we carry out a forensic identification of the fingerprints on each page of the contract, as long as there is a result, coupled with Su Xiaobin's testimony, we have the confidence to win this case. Yeah, with evidence, what are we afraid of? Hou Zhenhan also let out a sigh of relief at this moment. Xiaolu, you are the vice president. You didn't get this position by relying on relationships. You are better than both Baozi and me, and you consider the problem more thoroughly. Jing Xiaolu pursed her lips and smiled, but she was ashamed in her heart. If it weren't for Zhou Jiejia's reminder that any crime will leave evidence, Jing Xiaolu wouldn't be able to look at this matter from another perspective. Maybe this key step would be overlooked. However, in any case, Zhou Jiejia only played the role of inspiration. The key was all thought by Jing Xiaolu herself. This also indirectly proved Jing Xiaolu's personal ability. Although Jing Xiaolu felt ashamed, she was very happy that both Bao Sanli and Hou Zhenhan thought highly of her at the same time. Previously, although they respected and awed her, Jing Xiaolu knew that it was all because of Yang Ming. If there was no relationship with Yang Ming, what was Jing Xiaolu? Would Bao Sanli and Hou Zhenhan greet her with a smile? However, at this moment, Jing Xiaolu knew that she could hold her head high. Her ability was finally recognized by the two big shots in the company. Jing Xiaolu wanted to become a person who could help Yang Ming's career. She didn't want to be a flower vase, so she first had to get the recognition of these two hardcore men of Yang Ming. Only when they really recognized her, they would help and support her in her future career. Then, she could go further. Otherwise, although she had the title of Yang Ming's woman, Hou Zhenhan and Bao Sanli wouldn't let her mess around in the company. If Jing Xiaolu wanted to expand her business, she would be greatly hindered. Now, this problem did not exist. If Jing Xiaolu had any suggestions in the future, Bao Sanli and Hou Zhenhan could really pay attention to it. But Bao Sanli's originally happy face slowly sank. Xiaolu, what if the other party said that we deliberately erased Su Xiaobin's fingerprints on this page? Hou Zhenhan listened to Bao Sanli's question and frowned. Perhaps, he also had this question. However, Bao Sanli, who seemed to be a rough man, could find the problem first. It was not simple. It showed that this guy was now completely different from the Bao Sanli of the past. After doing business, he had also become rough but delicate. Erase? Jing Xiaolu waved her hand indifferently. She seemed to have considered this in advance. You know, on this page, there are not only Lu Luo's fingerprints, but also Mai and Wang Hongchao's fingerprints. Most of these fingerprints overlap at the footer of the contract. How can we erase Su Xiaobin's fingerprints alone? With this kind of difficulty, it is possible to put it in the computer and Photoshop it, but to operate it on paper. I think even those skilled craftsmen who can carve a boat on a walnut would find it difficult to do it, right? That's true. Bao Sanli nodded slowly. Of course, even if the other party thinks that we have a skilled craftsman who can do this, it doesn't matter. The key is that there is also a contract in the other party's hands. As Jing Xiaolu said this, she snorted proudly. Their contract can also be used as evidence. Their contract. Oh, yes. At that time, Lu Luo snatched the contract. In other words, the same loophole exists in the other party's contract. Bao Sanli said, their contract has a problem. Su Xiaobin's fingerprints are not on that page. Jing Xiaolu nodded. Bao Sanli was not stupid. He thought of this at once, but he still ignored another key point. I'm afraid this won't work, right? Hou Zhenhan frowned. If the other party's contract has a problem without Su Xiaobin's fingerprints on the page, isn't this too risky? What if Lu Luo also thought of this and gave the contract to Su Xiaobin to look through again? Isn't it? After Bao Sanli listened to Hou Zhenhan's words, his face changed. Yeah, this won't work. I have to call Su Xiaobin and remind him. Maybe at this time, he has inadvertently put his fingerprints on the contract. What should I do? Of course, only Jing Xiaolu's face did not change, she still had a smiling expression. Bao Sanli and Hou Zhenhan also noticed Jing Xiaolu's expression at the moment, and they were stunned. Xiaolu, do you already have a way to guard against it? Bao Sanli was not stupid. Since Jing Xiaolu's face did not change, it showed that she already had a complete means. President Bao, President Ho, you have misconsidered. Jing Xiaolu said, in fact, the contract in Lu Luo's hand, it doesn't matter whether Su Xiaobin looks at it or not, and whether his fingerprints are on it. For us, the most favorable evidence is not whether Su Xiaobin's fingerprints are on the page with a problem in Lu Luo's contract, but whether President Bao's fingerprints are on it. My fingerprints. Bao Sanli was stunned, but immediately, there was a look of realization on his face. He gave a thumbs up to Jing Xiaolu. Amazing. Xiaolu, I have no choice but to accept it. Although Ho Xinhan did not personally attend the signing of the contract, he had listened to the signing process many times. At this moment, when he heard Jing Xiaolu and Bao Sanli, he also understood a bit. You mean, when Bao Zi signed before, he also touched the contract, but after signing it, he did not touch the contract again before the contract was stamped? Yes. Bao Sanli nodded. Although the contract review was done by Jing Xiaolu and Wang Hongcha, before I signed, I also roughly browsed the terms of the contract one by one. Although I don't know if there are any problems with the description of those terms, I still have to read the general idea of the contract before signing. I believe that my fingerprints are on every page, but only on the page that was replaced, there are no fingerprints. This is great. Ho Xinhan reached out and slapped the armrest of the sofa on the side. With this, we are not afraid of the Jiangyan group saying that we tampered with the fingerprints on the contract. At that time, their contract will also not have my fingerprints. Let's see how they explain it. Bao Sanli smiled and said, that's right. Will they say that they took the initiative to erase it? But, isn't that just admitting that they are trying to hide something? Jing Xiaolu nodded. Her whole body leaned completely on the sofa. The tight muscles of her whole body were relaxed in an instant. This feeling was really good. Without relying on Yang Ming, she could also solve the first obstacle on her business path with her own ability. In the eyes of ordinary people, it was a big trouble. Tomorrow, I will find someone to do a forensic evaluation. Bao Sanli said with a dignified expression, our Ming Yang Security is also a subordinate company of the Songjiang police station. Tomorrow, I will ask Bureau Chief Qin for help. Jing Xiaolu smiled slightly. She naturally knew Qin Fei's identity. As for who the real owner of Ming Yang Security was, she believed that Qin Mengyan had also mentioned it to Qin Fei. How could he not help his son-in-law's company? Chapter 1396. Yang Ming could only sigh and smile bitterly at the butterfly family's current situation. Originally, it was not difficult to break off the engagement. Just as he was about to succeed, a storm arose again. Wang Songshan's sister, Wang Ruoxue, suddenly appeared. This was undoubtedly a good thing for Fang Tian. This old man's previous wife had died several years ago. Now that he met Wang Ruoxue, he would definitely revive. However, it had become a headache for Yang Ming. Wang Ruoxue was very stubborn. She didn't seem to listen to his explanation at all. She wanted to compete with him no matter what. Moreover, it seemed that the outcome would be the same whether he won or lost. Yang Ming rubbed his slightly painful temples. He didn't know how Fang Tian, Wang Songshan, and Wang Ruoxue were communicating. Yang Ming wanted to use his special ability to detect the movements of the three people, but he gave up after thinking about it. The possibility of these three people reuniting after such a long time was very small. It was nothing more than reminiscing about the past together. Yang Ming was too lazy to care about their matters. He would wait until he met Fang Tian at night to discuss countermeasures. At the same time, in Wang Songshan's study, Wang Songshan and Fang Tian looked excitedly at Wang Ruoshui, who was sitting on the sofa with a very calm expression. "Sister, it's been so long. Why didn't you send a letter home? I thought you had already." Speaking of this, Wang Songshan couldn't help but choke because of his emotions. Looking at Wang Songshan's agitated look, Wang Ruoshui sighed faintly. Her previous indifferent expression couldn't help but be a little moved. I originally wanted to die, but I was saved by a senior. After that, I couldn't make up my mind to die. Wang Songshan and Fang Tian were shocked after hearing Wang Ruoshui's words. If it weren't for the coincidence that Wang Ruoshui was saved, the two of them would not have seen Wang Ruoshui at this time. As for Wang Ruoshui, she had died once but did not die. It would not be easy for her to die again. The human heart was like this. It was hard to make up your mind to die a second time if you didn't die once. This was human nature. It's good that you didn't die, it's good that you didn't die. Wang Songshan couldn't help but sigh nervously when he saw Wang Ruoshui alive. "Brother. I'm sorry." Although Wang Ruoshui was already over 40 years old, she had been living in seclusion. Her mind was still that of a little girl in her 20s. At this moment, seeing Wang Songshan so worried about her, she couldn't help but be moved, revealing the weakness of a little girl. "Ruoshui, in fact, the one who should say sorry the most is me." Fang Tian sighed. Looking at Wang Ruoshui in front of him, it was as if he had returned to 20 years ago. Wang Ruoshui didn't respond to Fang Tian's words. She just snorted coldly. It seemed that the hatred in her heart towards him had not yet disappeared. But on the contrary, this hatred should also contain love. Without love, how could there be hatred? Otherwise, if he treated Fang Tian as a stranger, what did his love and hate have to do with him? When Fang Tian saw that Wang Ruoshui did not respond to him, he smiled awkwardly. His face turned red, and he looked at Wang Songshan for help. Wang Songshan also hated and was angry at Fang Tian, but he was helpless. He was the one who forced Wang Ruoshui to commit suicide, but he had the best relationship with Wang Songshan. Now, since Wang Ruoshui had returned, the knot in Wang Songshan's heart had been untied. He no longer complained about Fang Tian. Instead, he felt that it would be a wonderful thing if he could match Fang Tian and Wang Ruoshui together. So when Wang Songshan saw Fang Tian's eyes for help, Wang Songshan quickly mediated, "Ruoshui, now that you're back, you won't leave, right?" "It depends on the situation." In Wang Ruoshui's heart, she naturally didn't want to leave, but women were reserved. Especially in front of Fang Tian, she would not say anything definite. "Then don't leave." Fang Tian was delighted when he heard that Wang Ruoshui did not directly refuse. He was also a cunning old fox. When he was young, he was blinded by the so-called single-minded love. Naturally, he would not make such a low-level mistake now. Since Wang Ruoshui did not firmly say that she wanted to leave, Fang Tian directly climbed up the pole. "What does it have to do with you whether I leave or not?" Wang Ruoshui glared at Fang Tian. Fang Tian was not annoyed at all. Before, Wang Ruoshui did not say a word to him and acted as if he did not exist. At this time, it was already a big improvement for her to talk to him, so no matter what Wang Ruoshui said, Fang Tian was very happy. "You haven't been to China yet, right? Shall I take you around?" Fang Tian said with a smile. "Sorry, I have been there in the past few years." Wang Ruoshui said faintly, directly choking Fang Tian's words. "That doesn't matter. We can travel around the world and go to other places." Fang Tian didn't know what thin skin was at this moment. If he couldn't grasp this opportunity, he would probably be laughed to death by Yang Ming when he returned. Let's talk about it later. Wang Ruoshui frowned and seemed to be annoyed by Fang Tian's nagging. She turned to Wang Songshan and said, "Is my room still there? I'm a little tired. I need to rest for a while." Fang Tian directly ignored Wang Ruoshui's frowning expression. Although Wang Ruoshui's attitude was still bad, a sentence of, "Let's talk about it later," could express most of her thoughts. If she really didn't want to have anything to do with Fang Tian, then she could just refuse directly. She wouldn't say ambiguous words like, "Let's talk about it later." "It's still there. I'll send you there." Wang Songshan stood up, and Fang Tian quickly got up and prepared to send Wang Ruoshui out. "No need. I can find it myself." Wang Ruoshui took a deep breath. Her heart was in a mess now. Originally, she came back this time just to attend her niece's engagement ceremony. However, was this really the case? Wang Ruoshui shook her head. Perhaps, deep in her heart, she still wanted to see Fang Tian, but she didn't know what to do when she saw him. Should I hate him, ignore him, or? Wang Ruoshui had worked hard to train her skills. She wanted to kill Fang Tian, this ungrateful guy, when she came back. However, somehow, it inexplicably became a competition with Fang Tian's apprentice. Even Wang Ruoshui couldn't figure out where her unconstrained thoughts came from. When she returned to the family, she valiantly asked the disciples of the butterfly family to pass a message to Fang Tian to let him come out. At that moment, her idea was to kill Fang Tian to wash away the shame of the engagement. However, Fang Tian wasn't the only one who came out of the butterfly castle. Her brother, Wang Songshan, and Fang Tian's apprentice, Yang Ming, were also there. This short chaos disrupted Wang Ruoshui's original plan. After hearing that Yang Ming was also here to break off the engagement, Wang Ruoshui directly transferred her resentment to Yang Ming. After following Wang Songshan and Fang Tian into the butterfly castle, the previous thought of killing Fang Tian disappeared. It turned into an indescribable and very complicated feeling. Do I really want to kill him? It doesn't seem like that. Wang Ruoshui listened to Fang Tian's messy words, and her heart became very messy, so she wanted to be alone. This. Wang Songshan hesitated and stopped his footsteps. Wang Ruoshui had lived here for more than 20 years. She was very familiar with the terrain of the butterfly castle. Old man Fang, I really didn't expect Ruoshui to come back. Wang Songshan sighed, but his expression was indescribably relaxed. Although Fang Tian and he had tacitly not mentioned this matter in the 20 years that Wang Ruoshui had disappeared, it didn't mean that both of them had forgotten the existence of this person. They didn't mention Wang Ruoshui because they were afraid that both of them would be sad when she was mentioned. Secondly, it was because this matter was caused by Fang Tian. If Wang Songshan mentioned it, it would inevitably hurt the friendship between the two of them for many years. But now that Wang Ruoshui had returned, there were no more scruples between the two of them. Fang Tian also seemed particularly excited, this time it may be a double blessing. Wang Songshan was stunned when he heard Fang Tian's so-called double blessing, but he immediately understood what he meant. Yang Ming and Wang Xiaoyan were a couple, Fang Tian and Wang Ruoshui. Old man Fang, I'm telling you, my sister's happiness for the rest of her life depends on you. Don't let me down this time. Wang Songshan looked at Fang Tian and said with a serious and determined expression. Chapter 1397. Don't worry. Fang Tian smiled. Do you think I will make the same mistake as before? Yeah, wasn't it because of you that we agreed to not limit how many girlfriends your disciple could have? Otherwise, I'm afraid that the tragedy would happen again. Wang Songshan sighed. However, why were you so stubborn at that time? Although there was no such rule at the beginning, my father would not have disagreed if you insisted on taking Ruoshue away. Don't mention it. I can't keep up with it. Fong Tian waved his hand with a red face. If I had accepted Yang Ming as an apprentice earlier, I'm afraid I wouldn't have made this mistake. Your apprentice is quite fickle. Wang Songshan frowned. If he hadn't been with Yan Yan, maybe I would have agreed to break off the engagement this time. With so many women, I'm afraid Yan Yan will be bullied. Come on. Fong Tian rolled his eyes. Who dares to bully her? I didn't marry Ruoshue back then because I was afraid that she would kill my wife if she didn't agree with her. That's true. Wang Songshan nodded. Yan Yan is an assassin. Fong Tian smiled and didn't say anything, but he disagreed in his heart. Fong Tian was very clear about his apprentice's ability. He believed that he could handle these things. Right, do you think we should tell Ruoshue about our plan to break off the engagement? Fong Tian suddenly remembered that Wang Ruoshue seemed to want to intervene in this farce and compete with Yang Ming. He quickly asked Wang Songshan. This. Wang Songshan also hesitated. Originally, this farce of breaking off the engagement was going to end when Yang Ming and Wang Xiaoyan met, but now it seemed that there were waves again. Wang Ruoshue also wanted to participate. I think it's better not to tell her first. It's quite interesting to have her involved. With her involved. I'm afraid that the more she gets involved, the more complicated this matter will be. Fong Tian smiled bitterly. No, her purpose is to let Yang Ming marry Yan Yan anyway. Wang Songshan said. Bored, Yang Ming lay in bed and watched TV for a while. Suddenly, the intercom in the room rang. Yang Ming hesitated for a moment before picking up the phone. Hello. Mr. Yang. Master asked me to inform you that the banquet is ready. Please go to the dining hall on the first floor of the castle. A respectful voice came from the phone. Is dinner ready? He was actually that fast. Yang Ming didn't think that this banquet was specially prepared for him. It was probably because Wang Ruoshue had suddenly returned to the family, and Wang Songshan wanted to celebrate. He would just be an accompaniment if he went. Since Yang Ming didn't want to have anything to do with the Wang family, he didn't want to see Wang Ruoshue again at this time. This woman was obviously hurt in her heart and vented her resentment on him. Yang Ming didn't want to bear the sin of Fong Tian, so the wise choice at the moment was to stay in the room. Sorry, I'm not very hungry, so I won't go. This. The Wang family disciple who made the call was stunned after hearing Yang Ming's words. He didn't expect this to happen. In his opinion, it was normal to inform guests to attend a banquet, especially this kind of formal banquet. How could the guests refuse? However, Yang Ming refused, which made the Wang family disciple not know what to do for a while. I'm not feeling very well. Help me apologize to Uncle Wang. Yang Ming didn't wait for the person on the other side of the phone to speak. He continued to say, okay, that's it. I want to rest. After that, he hung up the phone. Yang Ming smiled bitterly. I'm obviously full of energy, but I have to pretend to be sick. This is all because of that woman, Wang Ruoshue. Forget it, I'll bear with it. I won't starve to death even if I don't eat a meal. Yang Ming changed a few channels on the TV and stopped at an entertainment program to watch. Not long after, there was a knock on the door and a hearty laugh outside the door. It was Wang Songshan. Yang Ming, little friend, I heard that you're not feeling well. Yang Ming was stunned at first, then he smiled bitterly and touched his nose. Isn't my face too big? The family master of the butterfly family has personally come to visit me. At this moment, no matter how arrogant Yang Ming was, he had to get up and walk to the door of the room. He opened the door and looked at Wang Songshan and Fang Tian who were standing outside the room. He said helplessly, maybe it's the time difference. I'm a little tired. When Yang Ming spoke, he looked behind Fang Tian and Wang Songshan. He was relieved when he didn't see Wang Ruoshui. Yang Ming didn't want to meet this unreasonable woman face to face. It's like this. Wang Songshan glanced at Yang Ming and smiled meaningfully. He could also see that Yang Ming was fine at all. What he said at the moment was just an act, but he didn't expose it. Eat something and you'll feel better. Fang Tian also saw Yang Ming's thoughts at this moment. Let's go, kid. You're a man. Don't be fussy about small things. Small things? Is this a small thing? Yang Ming was speechless. If he didn't marry his niece, he wouldn't let him leave. If he lost, he would have to continue to stay here and cultivate until he won. This rule is simply overbearing. Uncle Wang, I want to ask, is Senior Wang Ruoshui also downstairs? Yang Ming hesitated and asked. Wang Songshan and Fang Tian looked at each other. They seemed to have guessed that Yang Ming might ask this question. Wang Songshan gave Fang Tian a look. Fang Tian coughed twice and said, Ruoshui is indeed downstairs, but she is a very nice person. You can rest assured that she won't make things difficult for you. Nice person. Yang Ming rolled his eyes and thought, it's only in your heart that she is a nice person, right? However, since it had already been said to this point, Yang Ming really couldn't refuse anymore. After all, Fang Tian had already spoken. When they were at home, his relationship with Fang Tian was like that of a teacher and a friend. It was no problem to joke around. However, when they were outside, Yang Ming still had to give Fang Tian face. Otherwise, he would be laughed at for not knowing the rules. So since Fang Tian had already said so, Yang Ming had to say, okay, then I'll eat a little less together. Yang Ming followed Fang Tian and Wang Songshan out of the room, went downstairs, and walked in the direction of the restaurant. Along the way, the Wang family's disciples put down the things in their hands and stood respectfully on the side. After they passed by, they continued to be busy with the things in their hands. Right, Uncle Wang, your daughter didn't come, right? Yang Ming suddenly thought of a very important question. That was, would Wang Songshan's daughter, his fiancée, come to this banquet? If she also came, he should leave as soon as possible. Otherwise, with Wang Ruoshui present, she might do something whimsical. Oh, she's not at home. Wang Songshan waved his hand and said, she went out to buy things and will only come back tomorrow. Yang Ming secretly breathed a sigh of relief. If they could avoid meeting, it would be better not to meet for the time being, so as not to embarrass each other. As for Wang Ruoshui's side, he hoped that Fang Tian could persuade her as soon as possible to stop the competition. In the restaurant, there was no sign of Wang Ruoshui. Yang Ming looked around. Maybe she hadn't come yet. Yang Ming's nervous mood eased a little. He followed Fang Tian and Wang Songshan to a luxurious round table in the restaurant. Uncle Wang, can I sit between the two of you? Yang Ming hesitated and asked. Since Wang Songshan's daughter was not here, there were only 4 people eating this meal together. If Wang Songshan and Fang Tian sat next to each other, then Yang Ming would inevitably sit with Wang Ruoshui no matter which side he sat on. That was why Yang Ming made this request. If it were another occasion and place, Yang Ming's request would be too much. After all, sitting between the 2 elders was like he was the guest of honor. However, there were only 4 people eating now. There was no priority at all. Yang Ming took the liberty to make this request. Fang Tian and Wang Songshan naturally understood the current situation. One of them was Wang Ruoshui's brother, and the other was Wang Ruoshui's lover. Wang Ruoxue had been away from home for more than 20 years. Both of them were very close. Yang Ming's request was exactly what they wanted. Chapter 1398. After the three of them sat down, they saw a woman in white slowly walking into the dining room. It was Wang Ruoxue. However, she had changed her clothes. When she came, she wore a set of tight black clothes. She looked like an assassin who had come to provoke them. It was no wonder that the outer disciples of the Wang clan thought that she was here to cause trouble. However, Wang Ruoxue did not bring any luggage when she came, so he did not know where this set of white clothes came from. However, when Wang Ruoxue approached, Yang Ming obviously found that the clothes seemed to be old. The creases on it were very serious. It was probably Wang Ruoxue's clothes before she left the Wang family many years ago. Now, she found it again and wore it. Yang Ming did not say anything, but he obviously noticed a nervous breathing sound beside him. Yang Ming did not turn his head, but he could see the situation beside him with his special ability. The person whose breathing became rapid was Fang Tian. He clenched his fists and looked at Wang Ruoxue not far in front of him with excitement. Wang Songshan, on the other hand, did not have any special expression. He was only slightly surprised that Wang Ruoxue had changed her clothes. Perhaps he had the same idea as Yang Ming at the moment. After the surprise, he thought that this might be Wang Ruoxue's clothes before she left home. Wang Songshan also felt strange about Fang Tian's strange mood. It was not the first time he saw Wang Ruoxue. The three of them had talked in the study for a long time, and everyone's emotions had already calmed down. If this was the first time Fang Tian saw Wang Ruoxue, then his expression at the moment was reasonable. However, when they were in the study, Fang Tian and Wang Ruoxue had already communicated. Although the relationship between the two was not ideal, it was not to the extent of showing such an excited expression. To say that Fang Tian was fascinated by Wang Ruoxue at the moment. Although this was possible, Wang Songshan did not believe it. Even if Wang Ruoxue at the moment did not look like she was in her 40s, but like a beautiful young woman in her 30s. However, Fang Tian was also in his 40s or 50s at the moment. Even if he saw a beauty, he would not be so excited, right? Moreover, if he wanted to be excited, he would have been excited long ago. Why would he wait until now? Just as Yang Ming and Wang Songshan were puzzled, Fang Tian slowly stood up and walked toward Wang Ruoxue. He murmured something, but it seemed that his excitement had not calmed down. Ruoxue, 25 years ago, when we first met, you were wearing this white dress. Fang Tian stood in front of Wang Ruoxue and slowly said. Yang Ming and Wang Songshan were stunned when they heard Fang Tian's words. They immediately understood why Fang Tian was so excited at this moment. It turned out that when the two of them first met, Wang Ruoxue was wearing this dress. No wonder Fang Tian would lose his composure like this. Yang Ming didn't know much about the past, so he naturally didn't understand these things. As for Wang Songshan, although he was present at the scene 25 years ago, he was Wang Ruoxue's brother after all, not her lover. So, he didn't care about what clothes Wang Ruoxue wore, so it was normal for him not to remember. Really? I don't remember. Wang Ruoxue responded faintly to Fang Tian. As if she was afraid that Fang Tian wouldn't believe her, she added, the previous clothes were a little dirty and uncomfortable to wear, so I casually found one. I planned to wear this tattered dress once and throw it away. Yang Ming and Wang Songshan couldn't help but smile bitterly at the same time. How could Wang Ruoxue tell such a clumsy lie? How could it be so coincidental to randomly find one? Yang Ming and Wang Songshan could tell the lie, so could Fang Tian. His expression was the same as Yang Ming and Wang Songshan's. He smiled bitterly at first, then said, "Really? I'm also wearing the same clothes from that year." "Nonsense. The one you wore back then was also a white suit." Wang Ruoxue looked at the gray cashmere coat on Fang Tian and frowned. However, when she saw Fang Tian's weird smile, Wang Ruoxue's face stiffened. A red glow rushed to the tip of her ears. She snorted, "How would I know what you wear? What does it have to do with me what you wear?" After Yang Ming heard Fang Tian's words, he almost slapped the table and exclaimed that he was indeed his master. Like disciple, like master. Isn't this my usual trick? Fang Tian actually used it to perfection. With just a few words, Wang Ruoxue fell for it. Even Wang Songshan looked at Fang Tian with admiration. He secretly said in his heart, "I haven't seen him for a few years. Old man Fang's pickup skills have become much better. If it was like this in the past, it wouldn't have created such a tragedy." Looking at Yang Ming's secret thumbs up, Fang Tian smiled and looked at Wang Ruoxue with thick skin. "Well, no matter what you wear, you still have to eat. Ms. Wang Ruoxue, please sit." Fang Tian helped Wang Ruoxue pull out a chair as he spoke. Wang Ruoxue snorted faintly and didn't say anything. She sat on the chair pulled out by Fang Tian, and Fang Tian sat next to Wang Ruoxue with a smile. "Ha, this is also a reunion meal for us." Wang Songshan knew that the atmosphere would be awkward at this moment, so he mediated, "We haven't held a family banquet for a long time. This restaurant is a lot quieter." Family banquet. Who is their family? Wang Ruoxue glanced at Fang Tian and Yang Ming faintly and retorted indifferently. Yang Ming was basically immune to this woman who had been hurt in menopause. He was too lazy to argue with her. This woman's identity was special. She was the aunt of his fiancée whom he had never met. She might also become his future master's wife. Therefore, Yang Ming would not offend this kind of person. It was best to stay away from her. Fang Tian naturally knew that Wang Ruoxue's words were directed at him. As for Yang Ming, he was just an innocent bystander. He touched his chin, but he couldn't refute. He could only continue to ask Wang Songshan for help. Wang Songshan looked at Fang Tian's pitiful look, and he was very happy in his heart. Wang Songshan had a lot of opinions about Fang Tian because of Wang Ruoxue's incident. However, because of their many years of friendship, Wang Songshan couldn't cut ties with Fang Tian. But when there was a chance, the two began to bicker. So, Wang Songshan was still very happy to see Fang Tian suffer now. However, this time, Wang Songshan had to help Fang Tian out of the situation. If it were other things, Wang Songshan would definitely be happy to see Fang Tian suffer. He might even help others to mock Fang Tian, but this time was different. If Fang Tian and Wang Ruoxue could be a couple, then Wang Songshan's knot for many years would be untied. He would have nothing to worry about when he saw his sister's happiness. Of course, if Wang Ruoxue really hated Fang Tian at this moment, maybe Wang Songshan would help his sister continue to attack Fang Tian. However, Wang Songshan was not stupid. He could see that Wang Ruoxue only had deep resentment towards Fang Tian. She still couldn't let go of Fang Tian in her heart, so Wang Songshan didn't mind being a peacemaker. He knew that Wang Ruoxue's sarcasm towards Fang Tian at this moment was not sincere. It was nothing more than a woman's face. Back then, Fang Tian heartlessly broke off the engagement, and her face was ruined. How could this not be untied just like that? Although she still had a good impression of Fang Tian in her heart, there must be a suitable platform for her to let go of the dissatisfaction in her heart. Wang Songshan would smooth things over at this time. He believed that Wang Ruoxue would gain enough face and be able to accept Fang Tian. This was also what he was happy to see. So when he saw Fang Tian asking for help, he helped him out. Sister, although Fang Tian and I are not brothers, we are closer than blood brothers. He has long been a part of our family. And this little friend Yang Ming, before the engagement was broken off, he was also my son-in-law in name. He could barely attend the family banquet. Break off the engagement. You still want to break off the engagement? Wang Ruoshui's face was cold, and she looked at Yang Ming coldly. Yang Ming thought, this Wang Songshan, why did he drag me into this for no reason? Even if Wang Ruoshui was sarcastic towards me, I didn't care much. However, he mentioned the matter of breaking off the engagement again, which provoked Wang Ruoshui's anger for no reason. However, since he had been named, Yang Ming knew that it was useless to retreat at this moment. He had to bite the bullet and said, Senior Wang Ruoshui, you don't know the inside story. I'm afraid that your niece is not in favor of this marriage, right? You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.